Now I sit here, a massive fan, ready to dive into the 6th part, and I'm so happy to be here. Take a win for being JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. JoJo stance! Also though, kawaii. It's a small thing, but weather effects in JoJo have always greatly impressed me since Diamond is Unbreakable. They beautifully mix both CGI and hand animation to amazing results. Also, shout out here to the voice actress. I don't know her from much, but I do know that it was her dream to voice this character. She's been a fan of the manga for many years, and so I'm glad she got to live her dream. The colour of her tattoo has already changed. It's a world famous JoJo colour palette change. I just love how this is how part 6 begins, with her ending up in jail and caught doing the nasty. Also, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the following videos on JoJo, and please consider leaving a like and a comment to help your boy out. Greatly appreciated. JoJo reference! Loads of not walking on the spot because David Productions is full of legends! If the rules are similar to the UK, where, fun fact, I was a prison officer for 11 years, that's absolutely right that an unsentenced person doesn't have to wear prison clothing. If that's true for the US, that's a nice addition. I spoke about this during Welcome to Demon School in Rumakun, that I obviously, like everyone, adore hand animation, and that whilst winning Summer Spider So What's second half, I was a little put off by the CGI. So here is a win for JoJo's excellent and unique animation in general. There's nothing quite like it, my eyes love it. It's Jotaro! Wait, what?! Beautiful seeing you a shot of a prison during the day. Having this sign be written in proper English. Dedication! On top of being funny, this scene and their interaction already does an excellent job of starting to build both of their characters. Bruh, that's 100% alright, isn't it? You've been wanting it, you've been waiting for it, I'm about to give it over to your ear holes, yet another Stundora! That's right, JoJo is the origin of that win, and phrase coming from how they say Stundor, and sometimes I think probably Stundora! So now you know in case you didn't, and take that win, Stundor! God, I'm so impressed by the level of detail on that one shot of her hand. That's incredible, probably took ages to make that. Oh, this is so awesome! Not gonna show it as well, but he lost an ear! Not only is this scene an excellent demonstration of her voice acting abilities, but on top of that, it also serves to showcase her character's morals, and even though she makes the wrong decision based on what she thought was love, it still does its job. Really nice touch having a dent on the roof of the car too. Genuinely unexpected plot twist. Very short scene to just show, I guess, the stand's limitations, since it breaks when attempting to remove the cuff. That was my understanding anyway. YouTube would destroy me if I showed this scene, but oh my word, she's amazing, that's all I'm saying. The aftermath is a right mess, but that was sick and awesome! Two final wins here. The first one is for this age-old classic To Be Continued. They've been using that since part 1, extremely happy to see consistency like this. Second win is for the fact that they skipped both the OP and the ED this episode to give us as much content as possible within the episode. Always appreciated by me. As around 2,000 or so of you may have seen, judging by the likes on my comment on the official OP Warner Bros. Japan put out, I really do love the animation style in this OP, and the style of it in general. The song is a banger, no getting around that, and I think it's amazing how they kept that consistency going, mentioned in win number 28, by having CGI in the OP, some lovely hand animation too, wild and wonderful editing, and a bright and vibrant colour palette, and finally the end, showing a little bit from each season, such as the vampire mask from part 1, and the arrow from part 4. So 2 wins here. First one is for the incredibly detailed looking map, just laying out the prison for us. Second win is for the rules being very similar again to the prisons I worked at. Like, clearly some level of research was done on the basics, and that's great to me. Then as far as the story goes, you can just go wild with it. Yet another single shot of the prison which probably took ages to put together. Kawaii! Emergency out of nowhere plot twist! Take cover! Unexpected! Ugh, this anime, like all JoJo anime, just oozes style and substance, and just like prior seasons, I'm happy to be witnessing enough plot twists to twist the plot into a sailing knot. That was, I actually almost rhymed. Being nice to weird looking and drawing probably not real actual animals is always a win. Can't show it since there was loads of arms and legs and stuff that fell out of the bird, but another unique stand door! Oh dear lord, what an amazing plot twist done in classic JoJo style. Not only that, but we get a colour palette change in time for the new stand having taken effect. I love this anime, I love JoJo, it's so good. Take a maximum 2 wins for that. Oh, how I missed these little segments! This is stupidly well done. The only other anime that handles the size difference equally as well has to be Attack on Titan. That's brilliant and wacky. This is so random! As far as creativity goes, this part continues the process of knocking it out the park. Even if you just focus on the angles and shots used to display a situation, it's fantastic. And on top of that, it's nicely animated too. Loads of frames in each big movement and oh so smooth. I swear, right, JoJo is the only anime that ever makes me feel like this. So anxious. The stories are so expertly built up time after time to build tension. It's unbelievable how many times he's successfully done it. And by the way, this is exactly the kind of situation I'm always talking about in other anime. It's a JoJo, how they gonna pull it out of the bag situation, where it looks hopeless and yet they find a way. This thing is creepy, and goodness me, look at how well the size is handled in moments like this. This is what I was referring to at win number 45. Definitely gets a win for the first full-on representation of her actual stand. Cool looking dude that he is. How does he come up with these stories and twists? She said the thing her dad says! This is not a drill! La la la! Like her dad! Also though, she got out of yet another impossible situation. That's like 3 times in 5 minutes. It's insane. Off to the mental asylum with you, I say. Utterly beautiful ED right there. I've never heard that song before, but it was lovely and it matched the visuals so perfectly. It's incredible. Just made me feel so relaxed after watching an action-packed episode. Unreal. Amazing how well they mix up hand animation here with CGI. Like, it's almost seamless. Showing a really nice to see emotional side to her character whilst also displaying the cruelty of prison life to an outsider. Take a win here for character designs. I never really gave it much thought before, but they do look so very unique each season. It's amazing the amount of detail and creativity that goes into them all. Unbelievable, changing up the colour palette for that brief moment. No one else does this as far as I can remember. Like, there's art style changes in plenty of anime, but a complete palette change? Oh, that's so ridiculously clever. Fantastic that now on multiple occasions within the first 3 episodes they've taken the time to flesh out her morals, but also showing so many different sides to her. It feels like there's loads more character building in this season early on compared to the others. Vivi from Vivi Fluorite Ice Song. I don't understand. Someone help me. This kid in a bin. He needs to be saved. Also, it's Vivi. Go do yourself a favour and watch Vivi. It's an unreal anime, and then watch my video. Help! Okay, so firstly, everything this guy voices always gets a win. Right now he's in Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun, which by the way is absolutely brilliant, and I'm currently winning that, so take a win. Secondly, it's Jotaro. I love this dude. I have such a big smile on my face writing this. It feels like I went back in time and saw Stardust Crusaders again for the first time. I'm so happy right now. In fact, they can have an extremely rare 2 wins for this moment. It just means a lot to me. Just a simple little scene to showcase why she feels the way she does towards her father. Nothing too overt, just keeping it nice and neat and tidy. God, I cannot tell you how much I love the fact that he didn't budge or do anything after she did this. He's always been so damn cool! He said the thing! Rotate and shot like it's no big deal whatsoever!
ジョンガリエの手下が無関係のヒッチハイカーを拉致し、車の前に投げ込んだ。
こいつは何のために私を刑務所に入れたと聞いているんだ。
いいか、ジョンガリエの狙いはお前だ。
だからなんで？
お前と俺の血が繋がっているからだ。ジョースターの血が。
This whole scene starting to build the actual overarching story of the season, adding a little splash of mystery to the already amazing smelling dish that is this past 3 episodes.
いつの間に銘柄が違う。そもそも監視は机に近づきもしなかった。
Ah, yeah, it's happening, boys and gals. Something is happening, and it's going to include Jotaro. Let's go!
Star Plus, the world! 時を止まる!
He used the world! Another example of beautifully mixing both CGI and animation to excellent effect.
細かな部品にすればどんなものにも仕込める。面会に来る部下が看守に賄賂を渡せば調べもせず中に持ち込めるだろう。
Instead of making it a stand ability, they give a legit reason as to how he's using an actual gun, or at the very least, actual bullets in there. Just shows how laziness doesn't appeal to Araki. There's always more to it, or never quite what you think it might end up being.
どうやって実弾を男子艦からここへ？
問題はそこだ。ジョリーン、さっきお前が助かったのは幸運であり偶然だ。
Not gonna lie, absolutely thrilled to see these two working together, just like Jotaro and Josuke during part 4. I don't like seeing Jotaro getting hurt! Scenery shots are naturally going to be rare inside of a prison, but boy oh boy, that isn't stopping David Productions from gifting our eyeballs multiple lovely shots! Sticking to realism by having the weapon be hidden like this. Again, corners could have been easily cut, leading to potential open plot holes, but this nicely avoids it. Dedication!
娘空城ジョリーンに会うために今あのジョースターの血を引く者が
I've been so intently listening to everything this guy had to say that I totally forgot to say Gauche from Black Clover and bring Goku from Demon Slayer. Oh my!
今だ。
違う、待て、よく見ろ。
Seeing Jolene begin to listen to Jotaro, understanding that he's clearly done this before and has a lot to teach if she wants to survive this encounter.
僕の言ったことを忘れないで。お姉ちゃんには生き延びてほしい。
Ah, there's so many intriguing mysteries to reveal.
面会室だ。面会室で火災警報が鳴っている。室内にカメラがないから。
Nicely avoiding a sin on the anime synth version by having guards respond to the fire alarm and note out loud how there's no cameras in that area.
おい貴様、勝手に面会室から出るな。こっちは刑務所側だ。
やれやれだ。
Yup, literally cannot explain how much I love him and his stand ability. I mean, seriously, how outrageously awesome is it that he just did that?
あの子を撃つことは。パイプがどうしてどこから？
何？
このパイプ折っといてよかったわ。
It's this element that I have a hard time describing. It's how it looks like either there's no way they'll win or that they've been taken out like right here. Yet there's always a reason, a tactic used, or a stand ability that makes sense of it. This is probably like the 80th time? I mean, the creativity is off the charts. Absolutely friggin' badass!
奴がいる。あそこよ。移動している。 かでライフルを持っている。
こんな短時間にどうやってここまで来るというんだ。
知るか。いるって言ったらいるんだよ。
分かった、信じよう。そして備えろ。
Alright, you know what? That was so good it's getting a maximum 2 wins award. Firstly, because he was so damn cool about it, no stress or hesitation or anything. And secondly, because it just looked great and was itself great.
秘密の通路なんてものは知らない。
てめえ、こんな時に私をからかってんのか。お前がここにいるのは秘密の通路を来たから。
Yet another plot twist to die? Are you kidding me?
傷。撃たれた傷はどうしたの?
You know what? Take a win here for evolving the style of the anime too. Like in previous seasons, wounds that healed themselves later during the same episode or the next were commonplace. But here, they're now explaining it away. Yeah, it doesn't get much better than this really, does it? Absolutely outstanding is all I can say. It's probably one of the most unexpected plot twists for me, and it gets the anime 2 max wins. Bloody brilliant.
私、夢を親父から見せられた。ヒッチハイカーの自動車事故。手錠がないことに気づいて、私たちは一歩も面会室から出ていない。この能力が現実のジョンガリへの攻撃。
Credit to her as well for piecing this all together step by step rather than reacting violently to the situation unprepared. It says a lot about her character that she uses her head like this, much like her father and grandfather would have under similar circumstances, and oh my goodness, I love that determination at the end of the episode, again just like her family.
今お前何と言った？スタープラチナと言ったか？スタンドの名をなぜジョリーンお前が知っている？
I mean, I can't take many more twists. I've always praised JoJo twists, but they've never been this intricate and this numerous. How is it even possible that he upped his game from all the previous parts? How is it possible that he gets better and better at telling his story?
辻褄が合わない。これは現実ではない。
Ah, now I get it! She woke him up! This is freaking nuts!
これで面会室から出よう。
Oh man, he smacked his daughter, but had to, obviously. But goodness me, that was so brilliant. For me, it's even better that Jotaro solved the situation too, since I know he won't be in the anime much this time either, sadly. I'm just glad my boy got his time in the sun once more, basically.
どうするのよ。これであんたも重刑犯罪者の仲間入りね。
最初に言ったはずだ。お前をここから出すと。
Honestly, I didn't see the story going this way, but I'm utterly overjoyed at the notion of more Jotaro in the episode and coming episodes, and that he's in there with her.
俺はスピードワゴン財団という団体とちょっとした付き合いがあってな。彼らが手配してくれている。
The Speedwagon Foundation! Mentioning a guy from the first part and his foundation from a later part is a massive fat win and a showcasing of one of my favourite elements that make up JoJo, that being its long-running story over the course of way over 100 years.
ついゆっかり。ありがとう。でも捕まらなくても一人で立てるから。
そうじゃない。大切なものだと言ったろ。お前が持つんだ。トラ。
娘がこんなことになってるのに、それでも父親。相変わらずだな。何事も冷静で論理的に考えてる。そうだよな。私別に無事でいるもんね。
So the first win here is for the fact that her character hasn't miraculously changed all of a sudden. There's no microwaving of her personality, she's dealing with issues and they haven't disappeared due to the escape attempt. Second win is because the story is so tense, its pacing is godlike and it's making me feel like I'm unable to breathe and catch a breath, and in many ways it's fantastic that he chose to write her character arc with Jotaro and their issues into this part of the story, being hunted and never knowing what's real and what's not.
これは
これは現実だ。時を止まる。
Oh my god, this is too good!
準備されていたのだ。俺が娘をかばい、 選択の余地なく絶対に時を止める。この瞬間のために目的はこの俺だった。
Basically, I've been depressed this entire last minute and 5 seconds, deeply worried that this might actually now genuinely be the end of him. I don't like it. It's horrible. Another genuinely unique standoff.
そしてさっき話したスピードワゴン財団が潜水艇を見つけてくれる。お前のことはいつだって大切に思っていた。
I hate this. He's talking a game like he's going to go after them alone, but it absolutely feels like a goodbye to me, and even the way he's speaking is like he knows it's over.
あれは一体まさかスタンド。
何？これはくらえ。
She's getting better at using her stand. Look at her go.
あれは一体まさかスタンド。
Also though, that freaky looking thing can actually remove stand abilities from people. This adds an entirely new dynamic to the story.
別に捨てろとは言ってないわ。角度を見ていただけだもの。
She's just straight up showing off with her abilities now, and I'm sure they'll only grow more and more powerful.
ジョースターだ。
Ula, ula, ula!
ジョリーン、あの時あの夢の中でお前は刑務所に残ると言った。どこの誰かもわからないこのだが。
I like to think in this moment he told her he was proud of her for doing that.
もう大丈夫。
That horrible visual, the clearest representation that he's not alive any longer, and her gut-wrenching scream of anger. Yeah, brilliant performance. I don't think I've been this devastated since his father temporarily died after fighting Dio, but this time, I know it's really the end.
てめえ、待て、撃つな。両手を上げている。でも撃つんじゃない。丸腰だ。
This being a realistic reaction to someone unarmed and surrendering.
もしかしてお姉ちゃんは取り戻そうとしているのか。そうすればお父さんは生き返るとでも。そのために中に戻るのよ。
I kind of wish they wouldn't give me hope like this, with her saying that she's sure that if she gets his stand back, that he'll come back to life. Like I wish it with every single fibre of my being, but something tells me it cannot be done, especially when he's been gone for so long. Such a sad episode, such an amazing episode.
看守殺しの罪もお前一人の仕業だ。これで全て丸く収まる。その通りだ。ここにそれがある。
Take a final win for the episode here. Not going to show him being taken out, but we get a proper look at the enemy stand. The discs containing Star Platinum and Jotaro, and they gift us this content by cutting out the ED.
ジョリーンお姉ちゃんもその彼女にはすでに会っている。
I'm enjoying hearing the story coming from another perspective, since she's now locked up in what we used to call the segregation unit.
おい！ちょっと待てこれ！
Also though, take a win for the continued realism, placing her inside the infirmary after taking a beating at the hands of the guards.
さっき。私の靴が。
You know, these are my favourite moments, either where the stand's abilities are slowly revealed in a calm way like this, or during an initially confusing battle. But I just like seeing the new stand at work, how it's so confusing at the start, and by the end of it, was super familiar with it.
そして受け入れたら結構便利だったりして。
Check out my girl already learning how to use her brand new and unique stand door like a real pro!
Huh? これは。
私に協力してくれないか。 仲間としてマックイーン
And just like I mentioned during win number 119, this is the other version of that, where it's tense and likely soon leading into a battle and we have no idea how the stand works.
でも
大丈夫かあんた。
今大丈夫かって言った？
I'm so very confused and intrigued at the same time.
何やってんだてめえ。
What is even going on? Unexpected change to ad segment. Gotta be careful what I show, but what a disgustingly great use of her stand ability to survive right there. I tell you, the creativity is out of this world.
でも大丈夫。もうやらないよ。目が覚めたよ。あんたには命を救ってもらった恩がある。
恩返しってそんなさ、別にいいけど。何をやってんだ！
This is absolutely the weirdest JoJo battle of all time in my eyes. I'm deeply confused, I don't yet get it, it must be stopped. She broke her own nose in order to continue breathing. I mean, this is so clever, I could never come up with stuff like this.
ジョリーンとあいつの身に何が？
僕とお姉ちゃんの敵は。
I gotta say, I so missed these random JoJo poses and stances.
僕はこの先に進めない。今階段の上は囚人たちが多すぎる。
She's spurting red stuff all over the place, so I gotta be sensible, but have a win for this kid's character. He's a sweetheart and really helpful, and in this episode, he's really coming into his own.
俺のアパートは10階さ。そしたらちょうど11階から飛び降り自殺した女が。みんなはこの俺が11階の女を狙って撃ち殺したって。
That's insane, dude! How did he come up with stories like that?
お前パンティーもらったことある？女の子からパンティーもらったらそれはラッキーって思わない？
本当にくれるの？
This dude has his priorities straight.
あんた、この俺に勇気を与えるようなうまいこと言ってるけど、本当は自分が助かりたいからそんな綺麗事を喋ってるだけだろ。
Even after that funny moment, bringing the story and its realism immediately back into play is such a nice touch.
こいつ邪悪だ。正真正銘の腐った邪悪の少年の持ち主。
Beautiful looking art style change right there. It's gorgeous how they do that. I mean, look at her hair in this shot.
くしょー。今のショックで思い出した。こいつ金を確かどっかに隠してたっけな。$5000。
As you know, this scene is a mess, but take a win for how she won the battle. But this disc is all I can get away with.
あのお姉ちゃんがマックイーンって男に記憶のディスクを一度戻した時再生したんだ。
Don't taunt me with notions like that, man. I'm so happy, but at the same time, I'm really hesitant to actually believe that. But take a win for even putting the hope out there. Extremely rare seeing you a shot of an entirely different location.
早く止めろ！トラクターのタイヤの交換をしようとしただけなんだ。早く外に出ろ！扉を閉じるんだ。
When you've got great animation, that's awesome. But my goodness, when you use that animation like here to show his muscles bulging as he's desperately putting everything he has into closing this heavy door, that's epic. But then you add truly outstanding voice acting and you create a scene like this. Brilliant, even in its simplicity for what it brings across to the viewer. For me, that being tension and anxiety. I can't take many more genuinely unique stundles!
でもシャーロットちゃん、一体これは何の騒ぎなんだい？
It's a small win, but I always appreciate consistency from different angles, such as all these ladies stood in the same order from different shots. Very easy to make mistakes like that.
そのブレスレット型手錠を外そうとして衝撃を加えたり、もしくは破壊したら直ちに爆発する。
Even though obviously this strays from realism, which I'm okay with, I mean it's JoJo at the end of the day, it's still good to find a way to add rules to their new situation and adding tension, since clearly that'll come into play very soon.
よーし、ここから分かれて捜索開始だ。
Oh, I adore all of these scenic shots. They look so nice. It must have taken forever to create. I love showing the animators some appreciation for their stuff.
君のだよ。君のスタンド能力だ。
農場で使っているトラクターのタイヤ？
それが奴の目的。奴はいろんなスタンド使いからスタンドと記憶を奪いコレクションしていたのよ。
Learning more about Whitesnake's goals, although far too little is known right now for anything to be definitive, but regardless to say it's incredibly interesting would be an understatement at this point. This is like the 5th time this has happened and I've not winned it, so take one here for this classic text, which I know is obviously adapted from the manga pages. Just so stylish. Such a weird and specific use of her abilities.
タイヤの中、タイヤを外せばディスクが中に。
よく聞け！これから湿地帯を捜索するぞ。
In classic JoJo style, they get seconds away from achieving their goal and then this happens. It's brutal, man, it hurts!
出発するとき5人でいいでしょうって言ったんだ。6人いるんだよ。
Yet another mind-blowingly epic mystery on that!
最初は5人だったはずって、そう思うんだろ？いつ誰が増えたかわかる？
別に思い違いかも。
Killua from Hunter x Hunter!
音が鳴り続けるってことは監視の体がどんどん私たちから離れていってるってことで。
I can't take much more of this. I'm so entangled and wrapped up and spun around and slapped upside the head that I can't tell which way is up or down anymore. These are the best plot twists I've ever seen. I'm saying it now.
エルメス!
You have got to be kidding me! This is outrageous!
バケツの中には何もいなかったんじゃない。よく見なかっただけで。
The best CGI is where you honestly cannot tell it apart from hand animation, and that's the case here.
ジョリー！入るな！水の中はやばい！増えてるんだ！水から出ろ！もう追いつけない！このスタンドの着陸だったら！
Jolene proving her character once again by ignoring her shouts to flee and coming closer to the danger in order to save her new friend, just like her father would have done and her grandfather before him too.
今そいつを叩く！
ジョリー！あんた糸の上を！
What an incredible looking but also use of her stand, but animated so smoothly too. Extra frames for everyone.
体から糸を大量に出していなかったらやられていた。こいつのパワー。
銅が空洞に。
陸には来ない。
They can have another win here for having the story take place in this location, since it's allowed for so many different environments to be included.
話出してるわね。あれ？エルメス、さっき敵スタンドを殴った時、よろめいたやつがいた。
下がれてめえ！水辺から離れろ！見ろよ！そいつだって血が出てるぜ！
Moments like this are the best, like a Mexican standoff. They've done this a few times over the entire series and it's always epic and confusing till the conclusion is reached.
かさ、あんたらだって十分怪しい。
ジョリー！
いや、実を言うと、さっぱり見当もつかないわ。だから、3人ともぶちのめす！
Yes! Am I right or am I wrong in thinking that this is exactly how her father would have approached this situation?
貴様、このメス豚が！別々にしてよ。水の中で始末しようと思ったが。
こいつがよ、糸のような能力を持っていて。
トラクターに近づいたから始末して。
It was all 3 of them! You've outdone yourself again, Haruki!
本体はこいつ自身。こいつは生き物だ。ディスクで能力を与えられた水の中で生まれた生き物。
This thoroughly deserves a win as well in my eyes because the main antagonist of every part has always had really interesting and powerful abilities and this one is no different. Issuing out stands at will and taking souls, it's crazy powerful.
終わりだジョリー。もうディスクは諦めよう。 私たちの最優先は看守の体を守ることだ。手錠が爆破してしまうぞ。
Oh, what's that? Not tense enough for you? Not enough blood being pumped around your body due to what's happening on screen? Allow me to fix that for you by introducing another JoJo how they're gonna pull out of the bag situation.
自分の腕をよ、もう一本増やすような真似は一定だろうな。くそ。
I feel so dumb sometimes, bruh. I've been watching JoJo for years now, and yet time after time I find myself going, how are they going to manage this? Or how are they going to possibly win now? And yet time after time I'm like, oh, that's how. I mean, am I dumb, or are you guys and girls like this too? Let me know down below. Take a win here for all of the voice actors. I've been shouting them out as I come across them and also giving props for belting out pipes like when Jotaro left us, but as a whole, it's been incredibly impressive. And then take another one here for her winning the battle in style. Funny enough, great voice acting, just like I mentioned in the previous win, and the animation was lovely too. I'm so on edge. This quick attack for me is like conjoined to my emotions. I want it over as fast as humanly possible, and purely so she can grab the disc. Oh, you're good, you are. Guess what? Never saw that coming. You go, girl, I'm getting hyped!
私の父のディスクを取り戻したいだけ。そしてホワイトスネークの目的が知りたいだけ。どう？力を貸してくれない？
お前の気持ち、なんだかよく理解できないが、もう戦う気がしない。
Adding another ally to her cause, a unique ally no less, since it's maybe an alien or something, and once more her character shows its similarities to her predecessors, knowing when to destroy and when to hold back. I did miss these little segments going over the results of a battle or a demise and so on, and I'm kind of noting in my head how Jotaro didn't have one coming up. My hopes are getting higher. My hopes have risen again already. Not expected. I thought it'd be a dud, but they really found it. So random.
奴があんたの父親から本当に奪いたかったものは強くて無敵のスタンドなんかではなく記憶の方なんだよ。
Amazingly spreading out the story and the prior mystery by adding a new factor to it. He wasn't interested in the stand, but instead his memory. That pacing is excellent. The reveal's delicately timed. Really impressive.
次に私がやることは何とかしてこのディスクを刑務所の外へ父を保護している財団に渡すこと。
Letting us know that she did actually hand him over, off screen as it were, to the Speedwagon Foundation for treatment.
俺の体をちょっと巨乳にしてさ。どう？
Yes.
それほどまでに行方不明の囚人のことが心配ですか。プッチ神父。
私は日曜の礼拝まで泊まり込みの宿直ですから。
Two big wins. Firstly, it's for seeing the big villain of the arc. Take that win, you sassy boy. Second win is for Itaru from Steins Gate and Panda from Jujutsu Kaisen. Look at these effects at play in this room. Floating dust caught in the streaming light from the sun through the window. These little touches just add a semblance of reality. Also though, he straight up messes up this woman and turns her into a stand user. Oh, that was so gross! She like dislocated her jaw or something!
3メートル以上10秒以内。始まったぞ。よーし。
This really wouldn't be an episode of JoJo if the stakes didn't get really tense over a fairly minor looking initial situation. I mean, they're playing catch, but I legit feel like I'm watching Jack Bauer defuse a nuke, you feel me?
いいからコップから離れろ。わかった。あと5秒。FF、ボールを投げた。
Nah, hold up a moment. I could barely handle bloody 13 throws. Another 100? My little old heart isn't going to manage that. You take joy in consistently making me feel incredibly stressed out.
貴様
様、私の水に近づいてんじゃねあぶね
1秒
バカあぶねでもやったぞ。
もう100回は続かない方に1000ドル。
マジか。てめえ持ってんだろうな。
もちろん。賭けを続けたいんなら他は
私がやるぜ。グッと FF ボールとグローブをくれ。
Credit to Jolene here, she knew when to stop, she's been sus this entire time. She's grown on me as a person immensely in such a short amount of time due to excellent writing, voice acting and character building. Hats off to the animators for the pacing and piecing it all together, and of course the mangaka for starting it all.
よし、次で33。
お前らさっさと道具を片付けろ。
I didn't consider this turn of events, also known as a flipping plot twist!
だが100ドルポンチじゃあよ、ボール代だけだな。
こういう時のためによ、貼っておいたぜシールを。
This is stupidly ridiculous. You need to quit it with this. It's too good. It hurts. They're always using the stands in the most exciting of ways every single time you think it's all over. It's madness at this point. Can't show it, but she stole the Jubblies money she had stored in the chesticles. And then coming back to this in 30 seconds time, it takes her liver. My jaw is slack. I have no words. I'm shocked.
私はエルメスの心の影。お前らに私を攻撃することはできない。
This also deserves a win for reminding us that there are multiple different types of stands out there. Like, this one kind of reminds me of one we saw in Diamond is Unbreakable that was also to do with money, I think? It's really interesting.
キャッチボール1000回。私が勝ったら、彼女から取ったものを全て元に戻せ。
Honestly, I'm really pleasantly surprised at the level of effort that's gone into Jolene as a character, especially in terms of how she is a Joe star. This is probably like the 8th overt example pointing her true self in one direction, and that direction is her being a badass, a good person, a great friend, and much more.
しまった。ボールが行く。
これより受刑者は全員各員の棒に戻り、点呼の確認のため。
Managing to constantly raise both the tension and the stakes like it's no big deal.
ここは
エレベーターだ。
Emergency plot twist! Grab your weapons, men! We're heading over the top of the trench!
ボールだ。投げろ。
Ah, it's too close! It's too much!
こいつが初めから身につけていたというわけか。勝った。
キャッチボールは終わっていない。
The best JoJo how they're gonna pull out the bag situation of part 6 thus far. Blown away!
センキューだ。
Such a good ending to the battle! Classic Aura sequence, cutting out the devastating final blow for clear reasons, and then this feel-good, stylish end which makes you punch your damn fist into the air!
てめえイカれてんのか。黒にしていじめてよ。椅子に座って話すとよ、疲れねえぜ。飲み物もサービスしとくぜ。
Jolene now having learned the rules of the prison and slowly becoming the top dog of the place in much the same fashion as Giorno did in part 5 for the gang.
空城城太郎博士の体は潜水艇回収の後、ここダラスではありませんが、ある場所で安全に保護された状態になっております。
Yep. Yeah, go on. You're getting 2 wins for this. You gave me hope and I was actively apprehensive, then you gave me more and I felt a glimmer of hope, and now I'm bursting at the seams. It's 2 wins worthy all day long. I'm absolutely beaming right now, you have no idea.
それを覚悟で中庭に来られますか。
わかったわ。行くわ。で、受け渡しの方法は
This music's so reminiscent of previous parts where a legendary moment is occurring, in this case filled with risk.
まずあのゲートを通過し、 奥の階段を上がって2階の渡り廊下で
Using this elegant and detailed map as a way to inform us, the viewer, of her mission and more importantly, how far she's got to go to get to her goal.
はい、ボールに触らないで。
Ah, that is so good! Excellent sound effects too. Got me feeling slight vibes of Dio's original Zawaldo sound effects.
本当はベッドで眠りたいんだけど、この部屋にベッドはないんだ。仕方なく彼はいつもピアノの中で寝てる。
What a genuinely outstanding twist in the story. It feels like I can have a breather randomly. Like the stress is wearing off of this place all of a sudden. It's like I entered a save room in Resident Evil or something. And there's new characters to boot. I like this kid, I love the storyline, and this room is nice!
それが僕のスタンド能力。でも、あくまでも使えるだけ。
Oh, he's so adorable! Look at him put his little glove down!
スタンド名もウェザーリポート。
Yet another absolutely new and unique standard Amalama!
知ってれば中庭で待ち伏せすれば済むことだからね。だから奴は今僕らを追ってきている。
That's really creepy.
これは
That's my line, Jolene! That's my line!
なんだって。
This is one of those times where all I can do is describe myself in real life, and it was a clenched right fist up against my forehead with gritted teeth. The face of pure panic, I'd wager. Colour palette change and a rescue is on the way, and it was a new clever use of her stand.
空城ジョリーン、死ぬのはあの女一人だけでいいと思ったんだがな。
Also though, Ranga from Tensura. What a good boy!
飛ばしたのは
今その抵抗で敵の発射したものを跳ね飛ばした。
ジャンケンジャックフラッシュレザーリポート。
This guy being a badass. It's just nice that our heroes always end up with friends, and this is a great start to his character in my mind, especially rushing to her rescue in furious, speedy style like he did.
余計な好奇心でもう一つ。その壁の時計は正確ですか？11時51分。
Giving a logical way for the main villain to find out at least what part of the plan is.
こんな状況でちょっと言いにくいんだけど、個人的なことなの。でも結構切羽詰まってかなり困っている。
My word, she's cute in moments like this. Not even gonna attempt to lie.
この部屋の残り少ない空気をとりあえず集めて体の周りを雲で囲んだだけだ。2分程度ってところか。瀕死の雲のスーツだ。
つまりあれは射程距離なのよ。撃墜する気だ。そうはさせない。ウェザーリポートは私がガードする。
Obviously due to David Productions making proper anime and animating with red blood, I'm limited, but safe to say, take a win for everything leading to this weather report astronaut equipment stuff. Anxiety levels were off the damn charts whilst they were both profusely bleeding into the room. Turned my stomach. Also though, you gotta give mad props for using stands to create such wild looking battles like this. It's so incredibly creative, I can't say much else. Jolene and her stand have come a huge way since the first episode, starting off very basic, being able to hear things from a distance, to now, using it in combat in such a fashion as this.
狙い撃ちされる。しかもその推進力だけで空気がなくなる。
ものすごく決断の早い女だ。分かっているさ。お前のスタンドは強力。俺の回転弾のスピードじゃ。
Listen to this, man. They knocked the music in this out of the park again. What a tune that is for this battle.
いつの間にてめえ。
ストーンフリー。
her reversal here of the situation and the very first over-the-top NANI of the series. It wouldn't be a proper multi-episode battle if the bad guy didn't also have a weird ace up his sleeve and even a nice little taste of background info for him too. Just like I mentioned in the previous episode, awesome bits like this serve to build an ally's character, and this tells me everything I need to know about him. Her voice actress really nails this moment. Very proud of her, oddly enough, and another great win in the books for her. Also, for the final time, she gets a win for her loyalty to family. She hated him, but after going through what she did alongside him, she's proven herself true to her blood, and like I said, just pure loyalty to family is driving her now to save her father. Biggest plot twist thus far. That she would run into the big bad boss of the entire part this early on, consider me shocked. God, this is so tense and amazing! Annoyingly, he's in the know and she's not! "50% of the win is for making it make sense as to why he didn't attack her, backing up that cement truck and neatly filling in a potential plot hole, and the other 50% is for the twist. Bruh, you got Dio in this anime. Of course you're getting a win. Just like Jotaro appearing in any other anime, you best believe Dio's appearance also constantly scores a win, so take that win for Dio. It's worth pointing out here that in an age of some companies relying on CGI or simplistic animation, David Productions are here putting out works of art like this. I mean, just take a second to appreciate all the lines, shadows, and lighting that go into just this brief moment. This to me is true art. Cannot explain the depths of joy I feel when they dive back in time like this. Seeing how he looked from part 3 again, back in Cairo, Dio's mansion with his friends and family from back then. Pure joy, man. Also another one here for us finding out at long last the real reason why he's done everything to date. Luring his daughter there, taking out Jotaro, removing the discs, all to find out what Dio had written down all those years ago. Being careful again, but this utter legend pulling it out the bag at the final possible moment to try and protect her and the mission. Guy is unreal. It's like the dude from Robocop who fell in the acid! I am beyond thrilled witnessing him, the main villain, in such a precarious position. This is rare! Using this music, which I think might be from either Stardust Crusaders or Diamond is Unbreakable. I've definitely heard it before and it fits the scene to a T. Well, that was the longest I've waited to find out how she managed to survive an encounter. That was pretty unbearable, and they gave a way in which she avoided their poison on her wounds by holding them away from her skin using her stand. Fly, birdie! Take that disc back to Jotaro. Part 1 of 2 of bringing him back to life, I very much hope. Shut up and take my extremely grateful win for this scene.
ゲートにさっきの監視の銃が落ちている。ハートを狙撃するのだ。
Even now, they make my heart hurt by not giving up. It's also realistic. He's a bad guy. Of course he's not going to just give up. But I love how it was actually empty.
まだよ、気を失うのはまだ本体が近くにいるはず。本体が誰か知るのは今がチャンス。
おい、窓の外を見てみろ。しかし記憶のディスクを手に入れなくては丈太郎の心は戻らない。
One more win here for the end of the episode, focusing on her attempt to find out who Whitesnake's user is and the final message about her father, all but confirming for me that he absolutely can be brought back, and that's a win all day long.
スポーツマックス、君に頼みたいのはこの骨のことだ。我が親友ディオの骨。
Final end of episode, mysterious element just chucked in at the last moment. Have a final win here, ding, for creating such a masterpiece of a first part to this epic series. I tell ya, I've been praising JoJo's weird and wonderful angles since the first season. It's the reason I shout out first person shots in other anime, so always glad to see it in JoJo.
この場所であってはならないのは精神力の消耗だ。くだらないストレス、それに伴う体力へのダメージ。いや、逆にもっと強くなってやる。
I still very much feel like that level of mental conviction and fortitude derives from Jotaro, and I'm proud to see it in her.
天国へ行く方法があるかもしれん。おい、妙な顔をするな。真の勝利者とは天国を見た者のことだ。どんな犠牲を払っても。
私はそこへ行く。
For me, it's the absolute height of awesome that Dio is still in this anime. Love hearing his voice, that music from Stardust Crusaders. Oh my goodness, what a journey this whole ride has been. Whilst I'm disappointed, like many, that we didn't get a brand new OP, at least there's some noticeable changes in it. Just a shame it doesn't alter as the episodes progress either.
例えばこいつにシールを貼ってみる。すると2本になる。
Cannot express how much I love the details of each stand ability. Like there's always some depth to it.
最近なぜか好きになりまして。
ええ、構いませんよ。スポーツマックス。
I mentioned it during part 1 and probably every other video, but I'm always such a fan of the character designs. They're so over the top, it's brilliant.
ジョリン、豚肉の逆は何？
チキンとかビーフとか。
Small thing, but the food looks actually tasty and your boy is a vegetarian. The way they don't have grey stand-ins stayed the same. As soon as a side character is dragged into the event, they gain colour. That's quite a clever way of doing it. Putting pretty much actual writing on this, at least it looks incredibly close to it in many places.
けれどあの夜クロリアは危険を承知で警察に通報せざるを得なかったんだ。私を守るために。
This entire backstory was done excellently as it detailed exactly what drives Hermes and explains a whole bunch about her in the present. Goodness me, I'll never be able to get over the insane amount of detail on JoJo characters' faces. That close-up is nuts!
思い出したようだな。それでいいんだ。
Classic JoJo stance!
私が確実に知りたかったのはそのこと。スポーツマックス、お前にしっかりと思い出させてやる。
Hell yes, what a badass lady in an equally badass scene! I still love these transitions! That was friggin' sick! Those sound effects, like the kiss and the attack, are nothing short of glorious against this creepy damn foe. I can't show it, but it was messing with her tendons or something, bruh. It's gross, get out of it! Also though, we just got a classic JoJo color palette change. They really do employ such unique angles and shots. Not many anime do this, sadly. Also though, yet another unique standard!
ジョリー FF を連れて逃げろこれは私の問題だ
This is one of those times where it's a sin and a win. It's good that she wants to protect her friends, but at the same time it makes no sense to send them away when they're all in the thick of it. Same on both channels.
何
It's a classic JoJo NANI!
これで奴の口の中に入れた
God, that was awesome. I'm so glad the author went down the route of adding in stands which can heal, because back in Stardust, they would literally heal up the following episode.
あそこにいる女ちょうどいい
Kawaii!
ち賄賂払ってんのに挨拶もしやがらねえ
Take a win here for him not even really understanding how his own stand works. That's a first, I believe, in recent memory.
俺は何か飲みたかったんじゃねえ食らいたかったんだ
Jesus, what an absolute weird scene that was, and freak he is. Got sewage flowing out of him and then he attacked her, and this is nuts and weird.
立体で奴の位置を捕まえるそこだ捕らえた
I'm so glad she got this role. She really does voice it so well.
ジョリーそいつはスポーツマックスじゃない奴は殺した女の死体をおとりで動かしていたんだ
Cannot tell you how much I missed JoJo battles, how they're always so tricky and inventive, how you're never quite sure how they're going to win the day. Nothing else really does it quite as well. Also credit to her voice acting too. She's belted out numerous lines this episode and the last. Definitely deserves her own standard lone win. Couldn't quite hold it together.
シュートは自分の運命への決着をつけるためにあるまさかエルメスやめるなエルメス
Scenes like this are where JoJo often just shines. It reminds me of Stardust with that fateful, emotional music and powerful speeches.
そこだスポーツマックス
やるだろうとよ思ってたぜその能力はもう食らわねえそして俺も違いだからよ
An excellent, by the books and classic JoJo how they're gonna get out of this situation.
エルメスが待っていたのはこの瞬間だ奴がシールを剥がして本物の頭部に噛みつこうとする瞬間
Oh my god, they used the Stardust Crusaders music of Jotaro vs. Dio!
これを剥がせばお前も元に戻るそして次のもグロリアの分だ
This, and the fact that it gorgeously makes sense within the universe of JoJo once you understand how both her and his own stands work. That to me is easily worth the first max 2 wins of the second part. Excellent emotional build-up, I was freaking out at the use of the old school legendary music, and then the animation punched the ticket to max wins. Beautiful final moments there, really nailing the previously mentioned Stardust Crusaders vibe, really got me feeling Avdol and Iggy's final moment. I said it before and it bears repeating, it's a new and really innovative way to handle stands this part, by allowing the bestowing of stand abilities to people who then don't fully understand their uses. That's never happened before, and it allowed for a moment like this to happen. Just a plain old great example of how to effectively mix both hand-done animation and CGI. Bless them for giving us highly detailed maps like this. Not only does it aid in our understanding, but it also allows for added realism as the author expands upon why they can or cannot do something based on the map.
いいよ OK だ守りに行ってやる空城ジョリンよ
Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter!
今も彼女が攻撃されているのかもしれない
That cool ass sound effect!
彼女を守りきったなら俺は彼女と結婚する
Unexpected plot twist!
ダイバーダウン何事だ今の衝撃音は何をした
時間差で壁の中に
Yet another new and unique Stundadama!
祝福しろ
I'm going on record, I'll never get bored of these JoJo-styled poses. God, I love that! 100% can't show it, but I'm always a fan of the darker side to JoJo, and Dio's explanation of the stand contains some very gruesome shots.
美しいこいつの最強の部分が感覚でわかる
What an awesome looking and also incredibly violent scene to witness. As a massive fan of mixed martial arts, it's great to see a physical fight done in such a way, obviously to the extreme, but still.
最強ということを証明してくれる
I'm gonna say this fight, when animated, was inspired by My Hero Academia's All Might vs. Nomu in Season 1.
私が懲罰暴頭へ送り込んだスタンド使いは4人
This hype for the coming episodes! Okay, now I'm really hyped! So many new and interesting looking characters! Last minute insane kawaii alert!
どんなやつだろうと邪魔する者は殺なんだ殺す私今そう思ったのか
For me, it says a lot about her mental state and obviously her experience already that she caught herself mid-thought like this and understood that something wasn't right. Such an awesome thing to kickstart the episode with some great and intense action scenes. They're well animated to boot. Also, though, as a side note, really enjoy little additions like this that I presume come from the manga.
今のこいつの動きさっきまでの看守同士の喧嘩では確かに異常で凶暴ではあったが
I swear, these are the moments that for me resemble true art.
いつからスタンド使いになった
God, she's awesome! See, now that's just plain old great animation, isn't it? What a brilliantly done contrast between her giving a beatdown and then the music stops and she suffers another terrible injury out of nowhere. It's difficult to find who voices this character, but they did a bang-up job.
おい、俺の仕事は看守だぜ。毎日のように囚人を押さえつけるのが仕事だ。
The fact that they included this, because it's true, you're taught techniques most people wouldn't think of, and they do work 100% of the time. They're amazing. Get out of here, bro! She's being attacked by friggin' meteors! Oh, that's such a cool stand ability!
今度は絶対に外さねえ。勝つのはこの俺だ。美しく輝く。
Yay, I found his voice actor. He's Magma from Dr. Stone, and yes, not the best shout out, but he's definitely way better in Season 2 and likely Season 3 than the first. Check out my 3 videos on Dr. Stone! So much of her just smacks of her father and great-grandfather. I'm here for it!
あれはま そこにあるのはあれは骨だ。あそこにあるぞ。
One of my favourite elements of JoJo on display here, the long-running story that allows for a character from way back in Season 1 to be a central figure like here, even if it's just a bone, means a lot to me in some weird way, because it's such a callback. It reminds me how long the story is. She said the thing again!
お前の右足のブーツを脱がすことはできた。
Seriously, how did he come up with this?
確かに隕石に何かをぶち当てたな。それは俺に命中する。
決着！
Jolene winning the battle finally at great cost to herself. Totally unexpected start to this part of the story, and a most welcome one. Great battle.
立てるのかその傷で。
Kawaii!
わしの名は健三。年齢78歳。
I really love this old man. He's Kaseki from Dr. Stone. He does an outstanding job in that. And he's also Old Man Rom in ReZero, where again he does an awesome job. I just adore how he's just turned 78 and still going strong.
アメリカ方式、フランス方式、日本方式。
How come she's just the best though?
そしてわしの最初の敵はまだお前ではないようじゃ。
失敗だったぜ。
FF is here! Yet another unique stand-up banana!
何者じゃお前。
Oh, I can't contain my excitement when stuff like this happens. He's so confused by her.
愛してるぜ。ここに来るのがとても楽しみだった。
え、今なんと？
That reaction. That was perfect. Nearly always giving us a proper backstory for these enemy stand users who they encounter, rather than them just being near nameless faces in the end. It also pays homage to the bands tied to the stands too.
もう一撃溺れてみるか。次のは生還させない。
Really pleased to see a much lesser use of CGI thus far in this one. Obviously it's early doors yet, but still up to this point there's been almost nothing but this now.
まただ。また手の上に何か出したぞ。なんだあれは。
Bruh, how are the stand users so damn creepy this part?
違う。意味ねえって。俺を攻撃するな。だからおめえの敵はジジイ本体だ。わかんねえやつだな。俺中立だっつうの。
It's another one of those stands that can speak for itself. That's rare. The animation on these battles so far has been nothing short of excellent, perfectly in line with prior seasons of JoJo. Also, though she definitely deserves a win for her own voice acting, really smashing those lines. Also, take one for all of the voice actors while I'm here. Excellent picks all around as per usual. I think something that gets a win over older seasons is how deep some stands are. I swear in Stardust they were essentially very simple in nature, but as time has gone on they've got more and more complicated, which has also allowed for better, more dynamic battles.
お前が触れると腕が飛ぶのか。パワーは老いぼれのまんまだったかな。
もう結果は見えているんだ。だが誰にも予測がつくことではないんだけど。
余計なことは喋るな。さっきからやかましいわ。
This may be one of the first times in my memory that I can recall an enemy not wanting to reveal everything there is to know about their stand during a battle, so take that win. Look at that awesome animation!
決定されたように一つの方角から入り込むような攻撃といい。
Also though, how does his bloody stand work? It's so mad!
戦乱の時代ではその城の風水を見てどの方角から城を攻撃すれば
At first I didn't care much for the in-depth examination of feng shui, but I got hyped as soon as he started talking about ancient battles affected by it. Your boy loves him some history!
そして風水の方角理論は人間の体にもありそしてジジイの攻撃があのドラゴンに重なった時 FFA の結果はすでに決定されている
Really couldn't have timed wins 318 and 321 much better if I tried. It's so deep, I still haven't got a clue how it works, and many parts of it have already now been revealed. FF coming back into the fight from nowhere. She was practically denogonized, and yet still managed to land a bunch of powerful shots. Not running on the spot!
さっきから説明して見てるだけじゃなく FF を助けてスタンド使いなんだろ
Can't believe she actually called him out for this. Makes sense though.
やったぞ水が手に入った
I must give mad props. This is the first time in a very long time where I absolutely cannot think of a single way in which she can win the battle. This is mad. My favourite part of all of this is that, yes, it's far-fetched, but it could all happen in theory. Not all at once, but certainly each part of it could definitely occur with bad luck. It's making me so nervous that she just cannot reach the water. Hats off to him. He did it. He found a way by which to get her water in a situation where it seemed literally impossible to happen. Man, it's good. Oh, it's so good. He was such a tough fight as well. Very glad she won the day.
君の方が知っているはず
ドラゴンが
She deserves so much credit for going to such great lengths to save her new friend. She hasn't even been friends with her for that long, but she has loyalty coming out of her ears.
絶対命中はしねえ。てめえは始末して、わしは競争復活じゃ。九条上輪。てめえを始末する予定に変更は全くない。気づいてないのか
Super kawaii! Brilliant how they kept Hisoka in the frame just so you knew he was doing something in the background. Also though this, it made me laugh for some reason. I can get away with showing this bit, his legs are nasty man up close, holy.
それだそれがいいんだ もっと見つめてほしいその瞳
I already gave Hisoka a shout out, but he definitely was a spot on choice for this character. Even if it's just for an enemy, I really missed these end of battle cards. Made me honestly quite emotional suddenly seeing him like this. Well played, anime.
英単語も30ほど覚えました。しかし、自分の名前が空城城太郎であることは理解しません。
So very clever to add this into the story, to go in depth into what the missing disc is doing to him on a fundamental level. Would have been so easy to say he's in the coma instead.
Doctor! 彼の頭部に触れないで!
I don't even fully understand what happened, but you best believe it was awesome and gets a win.
お前のことはいつだって大切に思っていた。
応急処置はしたのに治したはずなのに
What an oddly beautiful moment between them out of nowhere. I don't get it, but I know it was beautiful and on a deep level and bond shared between them.
あの人は私が生まれる前からいろんなものを守ってきた私のそばにいなかったのも今ここで起きているみたいな 私を巻き込まないためだ。
Following up that moment with another one like this, adding in that music, her understanding why he was away from her so much and how he always cared for her and loved her. Proper got me, man.
小男だわ。小男がいた。
Unexpected plot twist.
なんだあの背中は。腸が伸びてないか。俺と同じくらい。いや、それ以上ある。
Great. Another creepy enemy stand user. I'm going to choose to believe that this is a reference to that episode from Stardust Crusaders. Poor little Polar F.
元気でみんな集まって。
Goodness me, putting aside the creep factor for a moment, look at that amazing animation.
これは他の囚人たちが全員すでに。
I'm going out on a limb here. If this part continues like this, I think it'll have my favourite stands overall.
さて、あの小男が落としたこの骨を。
Classic JoJo, they make the viewer completely forget about the other enemy standing by at the top.
それよりこうなった以上、私から離れた方がいい。
これは植物だ。それ以外の何者でもない。
I like how this did end up turning kind of low-key romantic between them.
光を浴びるか太陽の方向へ動くと急激に成長し、日陰で逆の方に移動すれば落ち着くらしい。
He's turned into such an unexpected ally. I never saw that coming. Yes, he's doing it for his own purposes, but he's intelligent, quick on his feet, and powerful too. A good combo.
緑色の。
Such a weird series of episodes.
これは奪い取ったっていうのよ。FF、絶対にホワイトスネークには渡さない。
太陽と逆の方向に進むんだ。
Excellent progression of the story, added in sprinkles of mystery to the plot, new stand users. Doesn't get much better than this, really.
お願いだ。俺も草になっちまう。ここから連れ出してくれ。
いいだろう。
Man, my ears are good. As soon as I heard his voice, I was like, yeah, that's Connie from Attack on Titan. And of course, I was right.
脱出したのか。いや、俺に気づかれず外に出れるわけがない。
Wakatoshi from Haiku! Also though, not showing it, but Connie explodes into ribs, tearing into the dude's arm. It's one of the best, most gnarly things I've ever seen in JoJo. It was nasty!
外に出られる。
If you know me, you'll know I love the old bait and switch. Now, I was totally prepared for more battles, but in many ways, I'm even more impressed by feeling as though that was definitely going to happen, and then it ends like this. Didn't see that coming, well played.
ダイバーダウン。なんだこいつの体は。匂いが。
You know what? I'm not even going to delete the last win, because I'm more shocked that you lulled me into a false sense of security thinking we were finally done for a minute with battles only to have this happen!
スロットルレバーでございます旦那様。普通まずニュートラルの位置にしないといけません。
渓流ロープをほどきな。
はい旦那様。
Stone Ocean casually taking yet another step closer towards being named my overall favourite for unique stands.
ジョニー、離せ。そいつから目を離してはいけない。
Brilliant end to a brilliant episode with yet another creepy ass stand. This one got me feeling major SCP vibes. Credit to you if you know which one I'm on about.
おい、さっさと止めろと言ってんだ。トンチキが。
Oh, the thing's so damn creepy it was about to attack her!
戻ろうぜ。こいつら！
I seriously never thought this would happen. Normally, that's not how it would go down. Massive props for doing it that way.
ボートなら奪い取ればいい。このボートをもらう。いいよな。ワニに食われねえように帰ってくれ。ダイバーダウン！
He's an awesome character really and a fantastic ally. It was great seeing how calm he remained throughout that. The twist you keep on throwing at me over and over again. Man, I'm in love with JoJo. Such a great anime all the time. I'm so impressed.
ジョリーどっちなんだよしたいのしたくないのか
Very slight art style change.
これを待っていた
She really is the best though. Another plot twist, are you mad? Her being an absolute legend and giving him as many clues as humanly possible in order to not get attacked himself.
そしてそばにいるというのなら旦那様ついでにあなたをも始末するまでですこ
のボートを止めるべきかももし地帯の水全体にすでに奴が攻撃のよだれを混じり込ませていたら
Yeah, actually, I think already as a whole, these are the best, deepest and most unique stands of all of the parts so far. He really outdid himself.
その反発でよだれの粒をまき散らすのだでも思わず鳥にビビっちまう隠れろ隠れろ
Starting to understand his stand ability little bit by bit, I just adore trying to figure it out and watching them do the same. Also, cannot overlook that trippy looking art style change.
超かわいいナイスボディだ
Shockingly, L from Death Note.
ディオの骨が囚人どもを利用して私の想像を超える何かをやり始めたということだ
Getting the gaps filled in and starting to understand how the situation with the plants happened and why. Some very good pacing there. Nothing too soon afterwards and not too late either.
D&G がここで見たもの奴自身から早く聞き出さなくては
Just wanted to say I'm very glad that within the confines of the story, this guy was made a priest and not, say, the head of the prison or a guard. Would have been insanely hard to follow a good plot if that happened, and this way it puts hurdles in his way too, which is very clever. God, this anime can be so insanely weird at times. More so than normal anyway.
あいつは
暗いなまさか投げたのは貴様は
困るとても困るんだ
I cannot tell you how thrilling it is to me to have the main villain be in this position, kind of helplessly watching from afar. Almost never happens really, and although he soon regains the upper hand, it's still good to see.
FF が最も恐れること、それは体が消滅することではなく、自分の知性が消失することであった。
ジョリーンたちとバカ話をして大笑いしたことも全部覚えている。今はわかる。生きるということは思い出を作ることなんだと。それを失うことだけが怖い。それこそが知性なんだ。
Between that statement, the music, and those words, I've got a terrible gut feeling. Things suddenly getting super intense!
ジョリーンのことを考えると勇気が湧いてくる。知性なんだ。
That was so damn good. That's getting 2 max wins. I feared the worst and they managed to find a way out of it, and a super insanely clever one too. So impressed by that scene. I gotta say it one more time, him being so shocked at losing this time, it never happens, bruh. Not till the end of the anime normally. Plus, FF won the day. That's a 50-50 split on this win.
生まれたってことなのか。
ホワイトスネークが求めているのは、こいつは一体教会士のエンリコ・ブッチだということを。
Oh my word, it's so intense I can barely stand it!
フルファイターズ
What an insanely gut-wrenching 30 seconds that was!
何者もそれを消すことはできないんだ。それはよくわかっている。
Heartbreaking to see her now like this, almost entirely withered away.
時間稼ぎだ。後ろを見ろ。
フーファイターズの頭脳は司令塔はこっちじゃない。向こうだぜ。
Sudden plot twist that I'm so thankful for, but I'm so nervous my stomach almost hurts. I just feel it's not going to go well. Man, this anime makes me feel emotions like nothing else.
私に向かって得意顔に解説を入れるんじゃない。
天心がこの水道はなんだと、この吹き出してるものは。
I knew I was allowing myself to feel too good too soon right after she got to the water. Ugh, I hate this. That was awful, man. Hasn't been a death in a long time, and that hit hard. Fantastic character, brilliant and funny ally, and voiced by one of the best. 2 wins for that.
待て、ジョリー、そこで止まれ。足元の石を見ろ。石が転がってきて岩になった。そしてジョリー、君は逆に。
Yet another unique Stunder user. This really smacking vibes of the Baby Polnareff episode I was on about before from Stardust, one of my favourites.
赤ん坊に近づくと私たちの身長が小さくなっていくということなの。
Shout out to the studio for keeping so consistent with the damage from the last fight. Must have been a nightmare. Taking the time to explain this, again just way more in depth than we're used to.
ジョリー、
考えるの、アナシ行くところまで行ってみてからよ。
きっと俺は彼女のそれに引きつけられてここにいるのだ。その瞳、そしてそのうちこの俺のことも見つめさせてやる。その集中力で。
Not having him falling in love with her as a gimmick to be used, but instead treating it very seriously as they grow together through shared experiences like this.
なら、ここから飛び降りるって考えるのはどう？飛び降りれば終点はあるわ。
来るぞ、登れ。早くここを脱出するんだ。走れ。
This is where JoJo just shines, being able to do wacky stuff like this due to stands. And now yet another brand new and totally unique Stunder that!
赤ん坊が触ったものはサイズが変わらない。つまり瓶は元のままの大きさでいる。スタンドは今瓶の中にいる。あとはこいつをここに閉じ込めるだけだ。
He just gets another win for how quick he thinks on his feet. Bear saying again, such a great ally. You could have given me a very, very long time to figure out what would happen next. Wouldn't have come up with this for probably 6 months.
なあ、私は君のことを言ってるんでもあるんだ。君のホワイトスネークは。
Weirdest win of the video, but I'm not hating seeing a relaxing Dio. It's weird, man. He's just living life. You never see that.
君のホワイトスネークは魂を形にして保存できる。君は私をいつか裏切るのか？
I'm so happy I can follow up the weirdest win of the video with this, because this is classic Dio as we know him. That's spot on for his character.
すまない。君を侮辱してしまったか。君がいなくなるのが怖かったのだ。
Never did I see myself dropping 3 wins for this moment, but it's getting it, because it also built up a different and more vulnerable side to Dio, away from the supervillain we all know, showing a more human side that hasn't been seen since back in part 1.
君がどこにいても、私は君にパワーを与えるだろう。
Oh, they actually fully explained away the bone. I'm so happy because that made little to no sense to me given how he got taken out in part 3. Also, take one final win here for going without an OP in order to have given us this scene. Weather report is back. Totally forgot about this dude.
もっと濃い霧を追跡されている。
バレた。私の正体が。
Really and truly, I thought she was gone. Easiest 2 max wins of the part so far. So glad she's alive. I'm just plain old thankful. Not much else to say. I love it when a hero survives in JoJo. I'm smiling.
看守の無線機に気づかなかったのはミスなんかではない。試練なのだ。このことを勝利のために変えればよいのだ。真の勝利者は生まれたものを支配できるものだけなのだ。
In a great many ways, he's not your typical bad guy. Totally not run of the mill. It's almost like he deals with a non-stop lack of confidence in himself. It's very intriguing. It's a small thing, but it's good to see some glimpses of how the prison is in panic mode at the moment in the distance.
ジョリーン、私の気持ちが分かってるくせになぜそんなことを言うんだ。君は私に与えてくれている。何してんだ。
よく知らない。
What started as being a little weird and out of nowhere has turned actually genuinely quite sweet. Especially when you add in the green little baby between them. It's weird, but it's like a family.
ジョリーン、ホワイトスネークの正体が分かった。プッチ神父だよ、ジョリーン。
Honestly thought she'd suddenly get taken out before saying it. All the credit in the world for not pulling that one.
ああ、君こそ。
約束を忘れやがってクソ。たかがプランクトンが。触ってんじゃないぜ。今それどころじゃないんだよ、プランクトン。
These moments are well done since it's adding to the personality crisis she clearly started to feel after her brief battle against Whitesnake and what it said to her.
死ぬのはお前だからだ。
あとは空城城太郎が封印した記憶に従って今宵は新月ディオ。
I mean, I have no words for that. That's a 10 out of 10 non-loud emergency plot twist where I come from. I'm in shock. Just take those 2 wins, man.
お前から奪うべきものは3つ。父の記憶と FF から取ったディスクとお前の命だ。
And just like that, my friggin' girl turns the whole situation on its head using her own stand abilities masterfully in the moment. I'm blown away. I'm so happy watching this. I can't believe they're trading like this so early on in the season. You know what I mean? It's normally an end kind of deal. I'm hyped and the animation is sick.
理解したよ。数ミリだ。
Style points. What a phenomenal looking shot and what a great time to use that intense boss music.
今何を投げた。今投げたものは何だと聞いているんだ。
She's just like her dad.
死にゆくアナスミに引きずられてお前の父親が朽ちていってるんだぞ。
This is totally in the top 10 times of my feeling most nervous in any anime. Full stop.
これで君の世界に共に旅立てるぞ。ハレルヤディオ。
That is not how I thought this would go down either.
誰か近くに誰かいないの。誰か歌手ここにいるわ。
Showing her worry for her friends right here with this blind panic.
お前が生きろ。俺の体に何しても構わない。もたもたするな。俺の意識が。
I wish I could show more, but for obvious reasons I can't risk it. But that was a beautiful scene, albeit incredibly sad. I'm so sorry to see him depart so soon after joining. Such a great character.
私の一番怖いことは友達にさよならを言うことすら考えられなくなることだった。
ちょっと待って。 何言い出すのよ。FF。
さよなら、ジョリー。もうここにはいられない。
They haven't missed a step in all these years when it comes to scenes like this, have they? Spot on every time when someone sadly leaves us. Oh man, that was really well done. 2 max wins there.
私を見て、ジョリー。これが私の魂。これが私の知性。私は生きていた。最後にさよならが言えてよかった。ジョリー。これでいい、ジョリー。ディスクを取り戻せてよかった。
Even better is this, having achieved something human which drove her in that incredibly short life. But she did it. Understanding what Dio sought but also why, plus a bonus look at his old self. Things have really changed.
父さんのディスクは持ってきてる。エンポリオン、今そこにある？
ディスクは持ってるよ、お姉ちゃん。どこかに置いたりなんか絶対にしない。
Oh, bless his little cotton socks.
私、グリーンドルフィン島を脱獄するわ。
Oh, I just got unbelievably hyped by this notion. I love how so much of this has taken place within the jail, but I'll be honest, I'd love some time outside this season.
父さんがディオという男の能力を封印した意味も分かったわ。私は空女ジョリー。あいつが得たものを封印しなければならない。
She's the best, and it's amazing to have witnessed her incredible growth throughout the season. It's been really extensive, right up there with the best of them, if not the very best.
そうすれば丈太郎のディスクを外へ運び出す邪魔はしない。
Another Kyutada stand user!
これが能力か。くらえ！1、すぐペンを持て。あんた、本当マジに聞くんだけどさ、この文字、私が自分で書いたと思う。
Such a good twist to have in the story, man!
エンポリオまでは覚えてる。その後。
Just an awesome way to show what the memory fog is like for her. This.
もう一回言ってクエス。どんなやつ？
身長は175くらいかな。ギンギンの金髪。縮れ毛で。
This really reminds me of the movie Memento, a very good movie. It's right in that same vein.
FF が突き止めてくれた。死んだんだな。
The kid's a sweetheart. He barely knew FF and yet still feels so deeply like this.
たっぷり飲めよ。
Fantastic symbolism there and paying respects.
なんだっけな。私、何しにボーに戻ってきたんだっけ。
Honestly, this is one of the best twists in the story. It seems like beating the stand creating it will be impossible, so basically Stone Ocean just continues to cement itself as #1 for unique stands in my head.
私は独房から脱獄しようとして。多分あの時、エンポリオは私と一緒にいたん。
So much effortless style injected into this anime. The full, fairly horrifying dissection of her stand's ability.
大切なことは
That's amazing! Her stand actually did it for her!
ジョリーお姉ちゃんに伝えなくてはいけないことがある。部屋の外へ行かなくては。
Straight to the gut seeing him like this. Had no idea he was also going through it. This gets its own win for the reveal that he's then been doing that same thing over and over again forgetting.
何かがおかしい。
あれ？
I'm always such a big fan of anime creating things within their universe like this TV show. That to me just screams of creativity. I often win that in a Rumikun.
新入り、あれがこの棒に住む雲のボスだ。
Well, just like before, that's right up my street, creating a comic as well.
Yes, ホイス。何が面白いのこれ。
I don't even know what to think about that, but it's creepy.
スタンドだ。今の女が本体だ。
Her being badass enough to continue the will to fight even in a situation as desperate as this one. For likely the final time, loads of not running on the spot again, because they're legends who'd rather put extra animation into the scenes instead. My word, that's awful. She's so close to catching her, and her brain retains the third piece of info, setting everything back again. Ugh! So frustrating! Really well done with the stand ability. They really do know how to build a scene, don't they? Excellent tension building, great choice of music, and everything else.
どこだ今そっちに行ったろうが探せ探すんだ我々の目の前を通ることになる
階段
That is nuts! What did she do? Untie herself with threads and then put herself back together or something? Manga readers, help your boy out in the comments. Plot twist!
ジョリーンお姉ちゃんに伝えなくてはならないことがあるあれ私何してあお姉ちゃん
It is legit insane to see this in real time.
なるほどあの時そいつが一緒にいたというわけか
It's a small thing, but I really am such a big fan of these color changes.
貴様は脱獄囚とみなす何
That is hurtful, man. When did I develop such protective feelings for this little lad? That hurt!
くらえここまでだ空城ジョリーン
Totally underestimating her stand's abilities. I love it! Go on, girl, go get her!
エンポリオあんたのそういう慎重さこの刑務所であんたが生き残るために必要なものだったってでもいつか危険を冒してでも前に進まなきゃいけない時が来る
These powerful words from her, she really has come such a long way since the start.
ここでこいつを逃がすわけにはいかない
After seeing everything she went through at her hands and what she did to the lad, this is fantastic now.
ゲートだゲートを開けろ
ここはなんで私はここにいるんだ
I'm so freaking angry! Him coming through with a path to victory, even if I don't fully understand it.
ありがとうつまり敵でいいんだなお前は
She looked incredible there, really dark and foreboding. Then that finish with amazing looking animation too.
お姉ちゃん僕のいつかは今だ僕外を見てみたい
Genuinely got low-key kind of emotional at him saying that, braving the outside world alongside her, inspired by her. Forcing her to use her stand to get them to forget, it's so good, and they're going to finally get outside!
私はあいつが得たものを封印しに行く覚悟はできているこの刑務所の中以上の私も連れて行きな
Reaching Hermes finally, that music that I think is from Golden Wind. Oh damn man, it's getting me. It feels like such a massive event is happening before my eyes. Nah, that's from Diamond is Unbreakable. One of my favourite moments too with old man Joseph when he saves the kid. JoJo means such a great deal to me. I'm really grateful you're all here with me watching this.
何なのだ。ひどい体調だ。何かが暴走している。
Again, this is totally unlike anything else before it. Him just struggling, not understanding these new abilities.
その場所はケープカナベラルケネディ宇宙センター。時は新月。あと6日。
Brilliant end to an amazing second part. I'm not going to monologue here, did that at the start. Check out another video if you fancy it coming up on screen in a few seconds time, and I'll see you in part 3. Also, no win here, but my god, I wrote the exact same amount of wins again. 236. How about that?
北緯28度24分
The ultimate scenery shot?
私は空城ジョリーン。あいつが得たものを封印しなければならない。
Jolene being Jolene.
あれがガソリンスタンド。あ、これがバス停。今からバスに乗っていくのかい?
2 wins. Firstly, it's very sweet, but also kind of sad under the surface when you understand that he's so excited about seeing such simple things outside like this. Secondly, it's for us seeing the outside again. Just the very start of episode 1 was outside, so this is oddly amazing to me.
まず移動手段を手に入れるわ。
Easily the best, most intense removing of a coat scene in anime.
Destiny is mine.
I'm so glad they decided to do a new OP. It didn't bother me so much, but I know it did many fans. But this one was great. Seriously reminded me of the first ever OP with the CGI, which looks outstanding by the by, and a ballad kind of fits considering the epic final tone being set for this entire story's culmination. Also, I have a separate win for the final end of the OP where she runs at him. Don't think I've forgotten how that's basically the same as the first ever OP with Jonathan Joestar.
おい待て。
星型の全てを知るために俺は脱獄して追跡し倒す。
I really appreciate how the main group is currently split so as to allow for different enemy encounters and building storylines and character progression away from one another for now.
あれなんで動かねえんだ。すんません神父様、別のタクシーを無線で呼びましょう。
いや別にいいんだ。急いでるわけではない。
I believe I mentioned this during part 2, but for me, a favourite element to Stone Ocean has been how the main antagonist hasn't had it easy throughout. He's struggled to stay one step ahead. David Productions does such a great job of mixing together both CGI and then hand animated stuff like vehicles. It's like I can read the future! I just wrote win number 482 and then this happens!
君は私の引力に引っ張られてここに来たのだ。薬なんかでエネルギーを消耗しているんじゃない。
I'm over here with my jaw slack after he got impaled with the scissors. Did it to himself! It's weird, man. Take a confused but hyped win. Honestly, what a fantastic song for this moment. Mixed with the sound of a church, maybe, with a serious tinge of epic danger.
雨が降ると傷が痛む。
まあな、ご親切にありがとう。あと1時間は来ないぞ。なんならわしのトラックに乗っていかんかね。
The studio has also pretty much mastered weather effects since the days of Diamond is Unbreakable, where I first noticed a big improvement over past seasons.
そのパークにはとびきり有名なキャラクターがいる。この本舐めてるぜ。キャラクターがどこにも全然載っていねえ。だがなんだこいつは。
One of my favourite parts of JoJo really has to be the encountering of a new enemy stand. It's really weird, wonderful, and often for me personally, confusing but exciting stuff.
おい、この荷台何か。
この時何が好きだった？好きなキャラクターは何？それ僕じゃない。
For likely one of the final times ever, I adore these art style changes.
いや、僕一人。おおおお。
This for me is 2 max wins, and you might be saying, really, for that? It's because I love that music. It's from last season with Nero versus Doppio, and of course the scene will get a win anyway too. Stands that are basically automatic always get a win. It's very unique and there's not a great many of them. This is so unique, yet another unique stando! Oh man, I'm gonna miss saying that. That dates back to like, maybe Stardust, where I did it for the first time? Good times, man.
俺はターミネーター T1000 型のファンだな。ここにはいねえけど。俺とこいつは中ばっか。それとエレファントマン。突然全世界でバットマンが消失しました。あの有名なバットマンです。
Where this one of the video goes to making references I actually fully understand. You see, I'm not a huge music guy. I know Queen and stuff obviously, but not most of it.
どこだ？争い！おい争い！このトラックの下に落ちてるやつは。 あの顔はなんで落ちてるんだなんで落ちてるんだ
I swear, I'm not dumb, but JoJo is the only anime where I'm always scratching my head until everything is revealed, bruh. I love being lost in the midst of them figuring out a new stand.
僕のこと好きだったんでしょ昔やっぱり
Kawaii! Getting to see more of my guy's stand abilities.
君の魂がこれを望んでいるから分離しているんだ。誰もが生きたいと思う世界。
やかましいぞ。答えになってねえこと言うんならこうするまで。
Oh my god, they used the song again.
違うよ。助けてくれたあんたをしっかり抱きしめて感謝するためだよ。そうさ、お前を食べるためにさ、赤ずきん。
So many references, this is insane. City scenery shot looks pretty detailed too. That landing though. Also, not running on the spot.
金が足りないならもっと出すよ。弁償するよ。だからその電話は切ってくれ。それでどっち
Scenes like this are brilliant, watching a stand and its user work together in such a simple but effective way.
私に顔を見せて質問に答えてください。
なんでもないっすよ。おまわりさん。ダイバーダウン。チョコレートを顔面の中に埋め込んだ。
That legit made me laugh harder than they probably intended it to. But yet another great use of his stand.
あいつはずる賢いやつです。7匹の子ヤギを騙して家の中に入りました。
I'm so confused by what reference these creepy looking little goats are meant to represent.
私を見て感動したことあるって顔に書いてある。ゴッホの自画像です。
I legit cannot believe they're even mentioning artists. This is such a wild episode. I love it.
感動しましたね、私のこと。
Again, David Production just nails it when it comes to these kind of art style changes. Only one that does it better is probably Mob, but that's its main kind of deal. Great voice acting, but also incredibly creepy, goodness me! City scenery shot that probably took someone ages to create. His own voice acting was superb there. They always take the role so seriously, it's great. I've talked about this maybe a dozen times over the past 5 years, but JoJo is also the only anime where I never have any clue how they're going to win the day. How can he possibly get out of this alive?
ディオの息子たちよ。君たちは私をケープカナベラルの知恵を仕上げろ。
The reveal that they're Dio's weird offspring.
時速400キロ以上だ。過去観測された最大のハリケーンでも時速280キロ。
I always appreciate the little bits of effort every now and again to ensure there's some amount of realism, such as right here. Literally one of the greatest of all time JoJo style NANI moments.
悲しい。まだ何かやるのか。
このゴッホに今ヒーローを作って書いてもらった。ストーリーも作った。
お
争い、お前も俺も無傷の肉体のところへ。
You could have given me several very long years to try and figure out how this would have gone, and I still don't think I'd have thought of this. In fact, it's so creative and well animated, it gets 2 max wins.
希望がいっぱい詰まってるお話なのに。
As always, take a win for these end cards, just explaining what ultimately ended up happening. Big fan of that. Putting actual pictures in picture frames.
ひょっとしてまだあの時の車じゃないわよね、ロメオ。
It's tough to express my love for JoJo poses. It's an easy win with a JoJo pose, but in reality, it's so synonymous with the specific anime. It's actually a big deal to me.
でももうどうでもいいのよ、ひき逃げのことなんて。
This for me just represented how far she has come as a character. It all means nothing to her anymore. She's been through so much other stuff that matters, her father and everything else.
警察ですか。脱獄囚について通報したいんですが、空女ジョリーンのことです。
私のシールを貼って2つにして持ってきといてよかったな。
金を要求されましたが断りました。メキシコあたりへ行くって言ってたかな。
ロメオ、あんた見直したわ。
Probably one of the most shocking plot twists in the entire anime, in all honesty.
片方のまぶたがいつも降りてきちまって上に上がんないんすよ。
Saitama from One Punch Man.
3箇所か4箇所になっているような感覚が。とにかく西なのよ。神父が今。
The sound effects here are so good, I actually thought the wind was somehow coming from my house. She produces some of the best nannies in the whole thing. Not only did that look awesome, but what an equally awesome use of the stand-door.
でもだんだん集中できるようになってきたぜ。ヘリを襲えるくらいまでな。
Stone Ocean really has some of the most out there, wacky but incredible looking character designs, more so than any other part to my mind.
には能力なんてない。俺には何もできない。
ある。お前にはあるのだ。
Great scene, both doing some cracking voice acting, especially Dio's son, but the father also has an air of caring about him, which makes him very different to all prior villains. I won't keep on doing it, just felt like another win should be dropped for 3 back-to-back Joe posers. Several of the enemy have had backstories this season. I'll admit, it's been a few years since I started JoJo, but I don't recall too many of them having that, so that's a season win. I might be misremembering, but I swear in earlier seasons the battles were always on one side of the fair as well, until then it wasn't. But in Stone Ocean, several of them have been up against it from the start.
1969年7月、アポロ11号のアームストロングが人類初めて月面に価値のあるものは精神の成長なんだ。
I liked this. As bad as it was for them, felt like his own character growth, which I can of course appreciate. Yet another new and totally unique stand-door! Ah, I had wondered when the first proper ad break stand skill chart would appear.
人体の病気になった部分は他の健康な部分よりも体温が低くなってるって。
I'm over here literally learning stuff, boys!
神父を追い詰めることを考えれば大したことはない。
She's entered total badass territory now. She's in her father's league.
自分たちの決闘のことを考えろ。
そうだ。俺はもう。俺がお前と同じ状況になれば、俺の心はアポロ11号だ。
A great example of the earlier mentioned character growth, he didn't just give up, he thought of his importance he derived from his bloodline shared with Dio, and it sparked him into actions. How can you hate that?
勝利者は俺だ。もうパニックの症状が出たりはしない。俺は今までの人生を取り戻す。
Been waiting for it all of this time, but it's the first color palette change.
こいつ最初はヘリコプターを追ってきた。
That music is so stupidly good it should be ashamed of itself, but I bet it isn't.
お前たちが何者か聞こう。神父が今何をしているのか。
Dear Lord! Look at that quality animation right there. Loads of frames to make it as smooth as possible and as cool and stylish as can be. Actually, between this onslaught and the last win with the gorgeous animation, it tips the scale to 2 max wins.
神父のところへ行こうとする決意。父親空城城太郎から受け継ぎ目覚めた意志。
We already knew this, but I'll be damned if it doesn't feel amazing to hear it spelled out as well. Makes me very happy.
全ては神父を天国へ押し上げるために動いている運命なのだ。
Feels like this is just a decent explanation of their side of the battle, why they're fighting. I like that too, rather than it merely being someone who happens to be fighting for Dio.
ウェザーリポート。あの男がもし脱獄してくるなら、それはお前を追ってじゃない。
I'm in awe of them giving the characters far more depth than they've ever had before. Don't get me wrong, there are many examples of deep prior characters, but it just feels more across the board here.
奴は神父の実の弟だからな。
Plot twist!
神父は私に倒されるためにいる。行くぞ、オーランドへ。神父はそこにいるんだろ。
Goodness me, there's so much more to these characters than before. Her pushing her forwards when she saw that doubt was seeping in. I just learned something else new. Bikers don't legally have to wear helmets in Florida. I mean, they have to be over 21 and have medical insurance, but still the anime was right and I love to learn. Also, take one more here for skipping the ED for extra juicy and saucy content to go alongside my main dish. Not gonna lie, seeing the whole plan so far since the escape happened on a map is pretty sweet.
重要なことよ。
His determination and how he wears a lot of his emotions on his sleeve. Creating some genuinely real looking food for this scene. Stone Ocean smashing it with not only unique stands but many creepy ones as well. Since this may be the final time, depending upon David Productions doing future adaptations or not, take a win for these effects. They really make the anime feel like it came from a manga and are so JoJo.
移動しているのよ。どこかへ移動していくのを感じる。
So stylish looking!
だが神父はこの穴の中で新月まであと3日待つつもりだとしたら絶対に離さないでよ。
おい！
Adding in this time limit was a stroke of genius, really allowing Araki to force the story forwards or strip away seemingly logical alternative options the heroes could take. Easiest another unique stundo of the third part. Some of the best looking CGI and animation David Productions has pumped out this season right here. I'm so nervous right now. I'm so very confused. Someone send help. Not showing it, but the woman on the plane just went all Total Recall, like with the dude who's living in the tum of the other dude, and it was gross. Take a second win here, again not showing it as YouTube would punch me in the thigh, but the passengers have their skin falling off and are drinking through their cheeks and JoJo really leaning into its dark side.
思い出してきた。ダラス行き2882便。
I can't believe it! This is real too!
この病院の近くまで迫ってるようだからな。
The reason why I mentioned I was happy that the team was split up earlier on now coming into play, as they might arrive in order to rescue them. I'm loving it too much!
それとも神父のやつがそばにいるってことか。
違う。3人のことだ、アナスイ。
Must be such a pain to have to bring life to such a vivid manga. Like the details on their clothing. I can imagine it being very difficult to animate that for every scene, but they do it.
飛んでる飛行機のドアって開けるとやばいんじゃねえのか。確か気圧が、違う。やれー。空圧を使ってそのまま突っ込む気だ。
Realism like this is excellent, not physically, but in the situation, because she starts off doubting her friend, but as soon as she sees that the upper hand is ready for the taking, she switches to support right away.
で、命令。ミグの野郎に発砲され着弾した模様。
That's really got to be up there with some of the most unique stunts I've ever witnessed.
俺は自分の父親が何者か知らなかったが、父親違いの妹たちばかりを可愛がる母親と義父にうんざりし。
Another backstory for another bad guy? Are you mad?
恥を知りなさい。障害者から盗むなどとは。
That moment is so JoJo, isn't it? Really struck me, that did.
翌日、3つ年上のシャバではギャングの使い走りにボコボコにされたり。
It's also worth pointing out that the backstories aren't in any way similar to one another. They're very different, and in this instance, got me feeling truly sorry for his past.
ディオの求めていた能力を手に入れられないもんかな。俺だって資格はあるぜ。俺だってディオの息子だ。
Just as I was saying recently, this kind of friction is new. Normally the enemies love the enemies, but here, it's yet again different. Massive props for making them so distinctive. Unexpected JoJo humor.
操縦して旅客機に突っ込んでも爆発しない。するわけがないよ。事実が墜落したって言うなら。
He's so awesome and smart, and what a clever way as well to kind of rewrite yourself out of the past. That was sick!
なんだお前らは。
座席の破壊なんか必要ない。空女ジョリーン、シートベルトを忘れるな。
ごめんね。今僕たちどくから座って。
This is genius, both for the story and the twist, but also for his intellect. What an absolutely mind-blowingly great twist to use against your enemy.
そんな奴に強い闘志が残っているか?
I took this moment as him being angry. Maybe he knew it had to be done in order for him to reach his goal, but he definitely didn't look happy with the tactics. When slowed down, the animation looked fantastic during the explosion.
体を2つにしてその生存者の中に子供を隠した。
That's so stupidly smart. How on earth does he think this stuff up?
ジョリーンは墜落から逃れる場所はない。
私がお前ならそんな安易なものの考え方はしない。
ジョリーンは肉体の可能な部分まで糸になって。
How come he's such a disgustingly unique villain though? She said the thing!
すぐに戻せ。私に返すのだ。
やっと生きてきた意味が分かりかけてきたというのに。
お前は何も分かっていない。深淵なる目的の私とディオの砦に踏み込んでくるんじゃな。
I won't keep banging on about it, but definitely have another win here for this turn of events. Two enemies facing off like this just never happens in JoJo, really? Epic plot twist. I can't believe how it's gone down.
怪我人を押しのけてベンチに座るのはやかましいぜ。そんなに座らしたけりゃよ。
気分が良くなったぜ。
Essentially, having the voice actor change the voice was brilliant. Sounds way more evil now. What can only really be described as being brilliant sound effects for this moment.
やばいが俺は生き残るためにウェザーリポートを利用させてもらったぜ。
虹を止めるにはウェザーを始末するか、もしくは記憶を再び抜き取るしかない。
I'm struggling to express how in love I am with this part of the story because it would be a first that the good guys have to sideline their mission, literally letting the bad dude get away because something more important has now come along. I love it! This is so weird! Also though, moving multiple characters within one scene.
この騒ぎだからな。きっとまだこいつは財団とやらに会えずに。
So awesome how stands give the studio the ability to create great looking moments like this.
ジョータロウのディスクを俺のものにしてえな。
Color palette change again. That epic looking exit from the hospital though.
みんなとは違う動きをしているやつを探すんだ。くそ、俺は負けないぞ。
Even though it doesn't last long due to him using his underworld ability, it should be praised that he totally didn't predict the correct action he would take and basically got lucky. I did mention it in the previous win, but it still deserves another for this moment. Poor lad. I'm so pleasantly shocked by the consistent looking animation and effects. They've just gotten better over the years. I'm so confused! What's going on? They pick the best, most intense, epic sounding songs for these battles. They're legends.
やったぞ。本物のジョータロウのディスクだ。手に入れたぞ。
It's a testament to their work that genuinely I'm angered by him holding that disc. It's like, you don't get to do that to him. Isn't that weird?
まったく進まねえ。
Finding that path to victory and always managing to have it make sense within the bounds of their stand's abilities. No making up extra stuff they can suddenly do. It's just awesome. It's a fairly small thing, easy to miss, but the level of detail on the characters now that they're infected by the snails is amazing, to be frank. Brilliant. To think this up? To have this be his mission in life? Meanwhile, he's destroying the world essentially, and now he has new enemies. It's brilliant.
アメリカ新南部の蒸し暑い夜中、ある町の山陰で一人の赤ん坊が産声を上げた。
I think it's very fair to state that narration dialogue has become far better over the many years the manga has been running too.
お祈りして名前はドメニコって後でつけたのよ。
主よ、お教えください。同じ日に生まれた自分と死んだ弟。
Oh, such good storytelling! Very brief city scenery shot. Also take another win for skipping another OP or ED for more content.
誰だ？そこで何をしている？おい！
君の本か？日没になったらここを出ていくよ。
I don't know why, but this totally feels like something Dio would do in his more eccentric phase.
何が？
追い出さないのか？私はもしかするとここの美術品を盗もうとしている泥棒か。
The voice actor has always done such an amazingly consistent and professional job voicing Dio. Super impressed with all of the backstory being shown, not only this episode, but in part 2 out of 3 as well, I believe. It's really helped to build him up as a character.
赤ちゃんを病院で誰も見ていない間に交換しました。幸せでした。とても立派。
Such a beautiful song. If anyone knows it, please stick it in the comments. It's very rare that I hear a song I click with so fast. that?
心が通じてるの。こんなの初めて。
おめでとう、ペルラ。妹を傷つけることだけは絶対に避けなくてはならない。
50% of the win is for the gorgeous animation on his head movement, but the other 50% is for how unique he is. I'm in awe, in all honesty. One of the best villains so far I've seen.
そしてこいつを産んだ隣町の母親の家にもすでに火を放ってきてやる。
Out of all of the anime I've seen, the many movies, TV shows, and games that I've played, very few times have I felt sick to my stomach watching a scene. I did here. Very emotional moment.
ペルラがそれとも全員がただ人を愛しただけなのに。
Take another one here for choosing one of the best, most emotional songs they have for this scene.
私の心の中にはもう雨が降ることさえない。
まだウェザーにかすかに脈があることも知らずに。
Incredibly sad. Well-crafted scene. Wow.
命を返してくれるなら何でもするぞ。呪われるべきはこの私だ。
Outstanding voice acting, but also that animation makes for a perfect scene.
知ってるなら教えてくれ。あんた地獄耳なんだろう。なぜカタツムリが急に湧くようになったんだ。
They are nailing the choices for their music, matching it amazingly well every damn time.
俺の時だけ。なぜ俺は生きているんだ。
ウェザーは怒りで満ちていた。そのまま湖にも飛び込んだが、波が起こって押し戻されるだけ。
Not only spending so much time to build up the father's backstory, but now his as well, and it's such a good story too.
ウェザー、お前には消えてもらう。
Even if it's only briefly, I loved seeing them do battle quickly. Take a final win for a brilliant episode for how it transitioned from the past to the present so seamlessly. It just set everything up, the characters, the story, and what's happening now so well.
お前、蘇ったのか。自分の過去の記憶が。
FF のことやジョリーンの父親の封印した記憶を奪ったあいつの目的も含めて。
It's funny, you know, because of the last episode, he now has become a much greater character in my mind. Like, I find myself caring far more for him than ever before because of it. They really didn't have to animate them moving through the shot, but they did it anyway because they're legends.
かつてお前の記憶を抜いた1988年にやっとのことだったが克服しているからな。
Epic plot twist! Take cover!
この私を天国へ押し上げるのはウェザー、他の誰でもないお前だったな。
Writing into the story a fantastic reason why he would logically keep his brother alive for this moment.
ダイバーダウン先行させたぜ。ウェザーの体の中に。
That's so freaking clever, bruh!
盲目の老婆が影響されないのを見て私はこの現象の答えを理解した。ウェザーが死ぬまでこの現象は絶対にやむことはないのだ。
Oh, that's such a clever stand ability, an explanation of said ability.
ダイバーダウン！安っぽい感情で動いてるんじゃない！
This gets me so hyped, it's insane, man. I cannot express how perfect their music picks have been.
私が目指しているものは全ての人々をそこへ導ける。お前らはそれを邪魔しているんだ。
Not only do you make him so non-one-dimensional, but he's now like four-dimensional or something, because you give him an aim that isn't entirely bad in any way. He's doing what he thinks must be the right thing. It's great.
素早くなくてもいい。確実に作れば、単純に作れば。
This might be the strongest stand since the world. Maybe even more powerful than that. I just adore how clever it is and how genius the mangaka is to have come up with it.
君が私の目の代わりになるんだ。君が見えるものを喋ってくれないか。
Just when I think they've won, he logically counterattacks in a way that makes perfect sense for his stand's abilities to do so.
小細工じゃない。ウェザーの方が強い。勝つのは
Yet another amazing counterattack. Ugh, it's so good, get out of it. Stunning looking moment right there. That was far too good to not wind up getting 2 max wins. I loved that so much you have no idea. Doing it in black and white with only the hardened blood showing was pure magic too. They used the JoJo versus Dio music, I can't believe it, what a choice! I can't show much due to lots of tomato passata everywhere, but what a scene! The escape of the priest, the use of their stands to enable the escape, the feeling of hope being lost, and potentially weather report too. Yeah, 2 max wins for that. Extremely sad with that haunting music. Everyone's painful reactions, especially knowing their arrival may have caused it too. Made me tear up, and purely because of the extensive character building he'd just gone through. What a wonderful but painful way to write a story. Amazing. Take one here as well for his statement. I felt that was really poignant. This was how much he respected him in the end and how he conducted himself at the end. Also one for skipping the ED to give us this moment. I choose to believe here that she did this to feel like he was with her again one more time. Hearing all of her very well written and voiced internal monologue, struggling to know what to do next. It's very sweet to see these emotions are still with him. He's really become such a big part of the team since he was introduced. I'd almost forgotten he was still in love with her. Really unexpectedly sweet. So very unexpected. Laying everything out on this map for us, giving a better understanding of where they're heading now. Find it difficult to stop talking about how unique I find him? I really expected him to lash out in pain and attack the guy, but no, just kind of tells him to leave him alone. He's so original. For the final time as well, maybe one more win for showing how much he struggled to get here. It really and truly hasn't been easy on him in any way. As always, you've come to expect this from me. I am so confused right now. It's one of the first proper scenery shots since getting out of the prison. Most everything else was cities. Back to back incredibly detailed looks at her. I adore how every season has sought to take the stakes higher than before, culminating in this moment where now potentially thousands of people are affected by these events. Just feels ever more grand. Absolutely mind-blowing plot twist. The whole escape from the car scene. She is such a great voice actor, they really did pick a great one. So impressed with how they've handled the gravity aspect. Must have been a bit of a challenge, but they've excelled. Yet another kind of new and totally unique and weird looking Stunda llama! Awesome way to end the episode with the stakes higher than they've ever been before and faced with a seemingly unstoppable foe. The pacing of a JoJo season cannot be underestimated. Kicking off episode 34 with even smoother animation than we're used to getting from David Productions. You must be bored of hearing me go on about how unique these stands always are, but you gotta admit, there's some truly unique ones out there over the many years, and his wit and intelligence are legendary. Probably my favourite JoJo post from her yet this season. Her getting her own first attack off and also those effects, goodness me! Times like this are where I truly feel like you can see the effort put into making her look and act just like her father would in the same instance. The fact that I can't tell if this is CGI or not is a massive win. I swear for the final time, the impact I feel from these battles due to their voice actor performances and the, well, incredible music is off the charts. Every single time it gets my heart pounding and my foot pumping. For me, I think that's the most clever attack I've seen her use her stand for thus far, because it also combines with a saving of him falling down below. It's crazy good. The building teamwork in JoJo always seems to occur outside of my knowledge. It's like it's achieved without really having to put much on screen to demonstrate it, and then here you get that distinct feeling, as he, someone who previously cared nothing for others, is willing to give up his life for her. Taking into consideration realistic outside interests for one of the first times, as it reminds me that when Jotaro and Dio messed up a city, basically no one arrived till the end in any meaningful way. But obviously here the attack hasn't been going on for long and the military is straight up en route. The current end to their battle, but mostly the win is for how they're now starting the process of bringing the entire story back into focus. Not just this season, but all of the prior seasons. I'm totally fine with this and it excites me greatly. For me, it's so much better than him being a powerhouse at the start. Instead, I've spent all this time highlighting his failings and struggles to get here. avoiding showing the inversion effect, but because she's been so well built upon over 34 episodes, I felt straight up horrible watching her get attacked like that. I feel terrible.
全ての人間が到達すべき幸福だということを心に戒めておこう。
Even now, as much as I hate him for what he did, I cannot say he's a boilerplate villain. Even now, he's mindful of his true goal, not to gain strength, but for the happiness of all as he sees it. Some amazing and despair-filled voice acting there from her.
状況はよくわからないが、娘と神父が出会ったことは感覚で知っている。瀕死の状態で生きている。空城城太郎。
Cannot even tell you how hyped I am to hear his voice again after like 20 or so episodes have passed by, and that he's now okay again. Let's go!
なんとしても空城ジョリーンだけはここで決着をつけなくては。
Goodness me, how he went from a normal pose to an iconic Joe pose. Ah! Very brief not walking on the spot.
戻れ、シムン！そいつは嵐だ！
ダイバーダウンが潜れるのは壁や地面だけではない。
He's going on the attack and the battles never cease to be entertaining in their weird nature.
ダイバーダウン！空振り！自分の肉体までも！
Come on now, that is insane, dude! He can turn his face inside out to avoid a direct attack! Her return and the way they did it, silently building up the tension for him as he felt a touch. Then they went first person on it to show off her arm. Absolutely brilliant and well worth max wins.
糸だけだ。くそ、背後だ。
Using those attacks with just limbs and her cornered angry wolf face turning into a hunter in this moment was a very smart move for her character, pushed to the edge. This!
最後までとことん来い。
いや、確実さを待っている。確実さがやってくるのを待っている。どういう意味かわかるか？
It feels like he's gotten more praise than her, but I love it. He's refusing to be drawn into a position where he'd be disadvantaged and so denies her and continues his thought process. Damn him, but also wow! Most excellent development for him. Like I said, he used to care not for anyone. Now he's saving the boy. Before I go any further, as soon as this happened, massive legit smile on my face in real time. Let's go! It's Jotaro's arm and he's doing this thing and he saved her. I'm so happy. It's Star Platinum and he's doing his thing and I'm so very overjoyed.
森に捕まっていれば重力があろうと圧倒的なスピードで一気に3キロ引っ張り上げてくれる。
She's back. Anime just got even better. I'm losing my damn mind. And there he is. Take 2 max wins. I'm so happy. He's one of my favourite characters of all time. The plot twist of his attempt to forward the new moon to right now is excellent. It means a nonsense last-second escape isn't needed while he hides for a final showdown, and it can instead happen now.
成長したな、ジョリーン。
It's like she finally got what she had been yearning for so long now, to have her father back, and she understood it had happened now amongst all of the chaos. The world and its sound effect and him shouting it out will never not be incredibly awesome to me.
時は最大で5秒ほど止まっている。お前は気づかない。停止した時の中を。
Feels oddly poetic that in the final battle they face, he comes across someone who is able to do what he did against Dio, moving slightly during the time stop. Makes the following episodes all the more final and epic.
このプッチを押し上げてくれたのはお前らだ。私の味方は刑務所の時からお前らだったのだ。
In the same vein, this is also poetic because it makes the entire seasons-long story come full circle in a big way.
もうシームーンではない。重力のパワーがこの体を貫いてくる。
For very likely one of the final ever times, yet another unique Standor. Can't believe he got 3 variations.
地獄へ落ちろ、このゲス野郎。
してくれんのか、ジョリーン。嬉しいぜ、俺のことを。
The pure and simple fact that he's still alive got this moment a win. Really didn't want to lose another.
あそこから200メートルほど移動したようだ。今まで我々がいたのはあの建物の向こう側だった。
Oh, how I missed his nature and how he stays calm at basically all times no matter what. So good to have him back.
見晴らしのいい場所にいろ。この雨はすぐにや。
ずぶ濡れ。どうしたんだみんな。
You've heard it dozens of times across dozens of videos covering hundreds of episodes of JoJo, but here we are again. What's going on? I'm super confused all of a sudden.
失礼しました。コマーシャルの時間でした。あれ、もう過ぎちゃった？
Prime extra example of a prior win detailing how these events are, for one of the first times, greatly shown to be affecting the wider world rather than their group and those around them. The weather just doing its thing rather than only starting up when someone says something poignant. Oh my god, after this a baseball takes a guy's lower jaw off! Genuinely shocked me!
まずい。移動しろ。ここを。
Due to his persistent prior mentioned calmness, when he does talk like this, you know it's bad. This was the perfect final boss kind of enemy stand for him to have to face off against.
俺は全力であなたのお嬢さんを守ります、丈太郎さん。お嬢さんとの結婚を。
It massively reduces the gimmick, the comedy element, from a few episodes ago when handled like this, and for me is the best showcase of his growth. He is serious about it, and the anime lets us know that. The music choices have been stupidly great from start to finish. Using this just adds emotion to the moment, gives it credence, makes it real, her own feelings coming across without words. Lovely. Pulling off a rotating shot like it's no big deal. Beautifully edited as well. This is the one downside of legit having so much love in my heart for my boy Jotaro, is when I see him badly hurt like he just was, and I'm not joking, I get an anxious stomach. That's crazy. He's still hurt, but this helped and my tum hurts and I'm so excited I'm shaking. I'm just throwing a win at the screen. Such a nice touch to quickly add his actual shock at Jotaro suddenly appearing in front of him. Just makes him come across as not an invincible god in this moment. Stunning CGI surrounding him.
How are
you going to keep on keeping him humble to the very end with his true goal at the front of his mind? Excellent villain! Definitely in my top 10 most clever use of their stands within combat this season. Oh, it's so incredibly intense!
奴を捕まえて倒すんです。それはあんたのスタープラチナしかない。ジョリーンもエンポリオもエルメウスもこの距離なら全員の体内に同時に入れている。
話すよお前、相打ちってことか。無理だ。
His growth has hit its peak. He went from caring for no one to loving Jolene, to protecting Emporio, and now to jointly attempting to protect everyone by potentially risking his life in a very real way. He's even using his stand to protect literally everyone else aside from himself in case they're attacked instead.
いいわ、アナスイ。申し込んで。
I'm worried. This really has the feeling of finality about it, but her reaction was amazing and true.
時がさらにもっともっと加速してんじゃないのか。
This plot twist, but half the win is for her outstanding voice acting. Just knowing she had to put so much into what she was seeing on the screen and in the process brought the character so vividly to life is inspiring. Take another win for all of their performances as well, from the old crew to the new. Outstanding.
それでも間に合う漫画家がいる。誰だそいつは。何者なんだ。
岸辺露伴。
Nice reference! I knew it was too good to be true, but I was still shocked so much. He's the best at plot twists.
神父はすでに空中へ投げていた。かつてディオがやったように。
Using that music again for this pivotal moment and another plot twist of that! 2 max wins for that entire beautifully done and shocking scene. Cannot tell you how this affects me, turns my stomach into knots, but on topic, the sound effects of the new stand are extremely well done, sounding powerful and fast, and the shock is palpable. I was gonna put a me over him, but in reality I'm more tearing up than screaming, and that's the truth in that moment. Try your eyes, boys and girls, it's not over yet. Throwing another win at the screen for that.
時の加速は関係ない。物を持ち上げたり溺れないように泳げる距離は普段と同じ。
Extremely clever to take this into account during the plan, but also that she noticed animals being unaffected by the change in the time and thus using them to her advantage too.
絶対に決着はつける。因果を未来へ持っていくことはできない。
This comment, because he's basically refusing to make the same mistake as Dio long ago, and that's amazing to put that into his frame of mind right here.
あんたを逃がすのはアナスイであり、エルメスであり、私の父さん。
まさか。待ってお姉ちゃん。
What's happening here is inherently beautiful. They understand they cannot surmount his power. They want to band together to save an innocent child now as a result, and it's bloody beautiful. Absolutely stunning animation.
また夜だ。なんだ。さらに時が加速しているぞ。買い占めろ。缶詰を買い占めろ。
The single best set of ramifications for the events unfolding, because it now officially affects the world.
あの輝きの線が太陽なのか。
昼なの夜なの今は何年の何月何日なの。
I watched this with my jaw slack with worry, seeing our heroes melt away, the seasons change, the land mass of the world altering. Makes me feel ill.
早く囚人服を着ろ。俺なんで裸なんだ。
I'm so confused, but kind of less worried than before. Let's interlock our fingers, join hands, and progress forward and grant the anime a timid win.
帰れ。なんだこの二人は。でもすごく。
人類は到達し夜明けを迎えたのだ。メイドインヘブンによって約束された。
Such massive stakes for our heroes. I'm in awe of this writing and storytelling and how it's panned out. Also, for the last time, skipping that OP for extra content is a win in my book. I feel like they made it up to fans by not having a new OP for part 2 by having 2 versions of it here, and what a second version it is, chock full of really great references. Easy max 2 wins, loved it!
同じように進化する地球の時間を猛スピードで辿って
Giving a nice visual representation of what he's referring to.
いないんだ。ここにお姉ちゃんたちはいない。僕はまた一人だ。
So much emotion, you can feel it. Such a great job done.
してそれこそが幸福である。未来を覚悟できるからだ。
Take a win for his full rant, the full understanding of his actions, and why he did what he did. I'd have shown more, but he had a leaky eye the entire time.
のならお前に変えてもらうことにしたよ。お前の腕が入り口の隙間で僕の頭に押し込んだんだ。
What an absolute masterpiece of a third part this has ended up becoming. 14 amazing episodes. Brilliant plot twist. Sadly, again, loads of tomato juice being spilt everywhere, so I'm being careful. But it was an amazing, win-worthy sight to see him panicking over potentially losing there. Absolutely, for that massive attack, heck yes. One worthy of crushing the greatest foe they've ever faced. Smashed into oblivion, and justice done by having it be completed by Weather Report's stand. The smile on my face when she finally turned around and I knew it was really her.
ガソリン代と飯代をおごってくれるんならば好きなとこまで乗っけてってやってもいいぜ。
乗りなよ坊や。怪しいものじゃないわ。私たちもこれから父さんのところへ会いに行くのよ。結婚するかも。私たち。
This factor still being true for them even now.
ほら乗りなさいって。寒いの？さあ。僕の名前はエンポリオです。
That music hits hard, man. Feels like the end of an era.
止めなさいよ。かわいそうだって。
Goodness me, using that music here. They're all together. Ah, the tears, man. Take one final win for the last ED. I can't believe it's over. I'm shocked in all honesty, as it didn't go down how I thought it would, but it was amazing to see everyone by the end. I just wish I could have seen Joseph one more time. Ultimately, a fantastic final season for the Joestars. Unreal plot twists and new heights the series had never seen were reached. On a personal note, thank you all so much for watching. I've made 21 Anime Wins videos covering all 190 episodes, I believe. What a journey. What a bizarre one too. Please consider subscribing, helping out on Patreon, or by leaving a tip if you enjoyed my work. It took a long time to cover this, so it would mean a lot. Of course, you can also like and comment and share the video. It means a great deal to me. Thank you again for watching my work. I appreciate you. I love JoJo. I love my followers. JoJo means the world to me. So do you. And if they cover the next season, I'll be here to cover it if I'm still lucky enough to be able to do this line of work by then. Bless you, and hopefully see you in another video on the channel and in the future. Chris Chris Harris, Lifty, Corey Bosch, Hinakami and Water, Manuel Morales, Marquez, Nick Wyndham, Orkkeeper, Steelers, The Epic Commander, Adelitzk, Bird Without a Word, Blitzcloud, Brandon Krier, Deliverance, Emmanuel Gonzalez, Gaten 2000, Jessica Start, Kepan, Comfreig, Magnus, Nathan Burr, Red Moon, Sean, Sebastian Ramirez, Wesley Tabak, Wiccan Faye, Ali 50, Clear Lonely Jellyfish, Dark Lord Bloody Soul, Guru, Israel Caldera, You Are Edvinson, Jonas Stahl, Jordan Samuels, Jaffa 6263, Kieran Robinson, Keldnock, Kevin Melter, Conito, Laxus, Luis Cruz, Matthew Blanchett, 1928, Oliver Smiley Reacts, Saint Flo 25, Sentimento, Storm 970, The Elemental Wars.